watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project, and boy, do we have a show for you tonight. As you've known, over the last few years, I've come to social media on a regular basis telling you what I think is going to happen. Based on the evidence, based on the facts, based on the reporting, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And over the last few weeks, we've taken a serious look here at the CramerSez Project on what's been said over the last few years, what's been done over the last few years, and then we started looking forward. How do we project forward? Now, for those of you who don't know who I am, for years I still own an advertising agency. Don't do it as much as I used to. But what I used to do is write a lot of white papers for corporations to talk to them about the threats that they were facing. We called it swatting, right? What is it? Now I'm going to forget what it was. It's opportunities and threats. What is it? I can't remember it now. SWOT, S-W-O-T. Anyway, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so you look at those and you analyze where you stand and a threat assessment for your client. So that's what I've done for the last 30, 40 years. What we've done over the last few weeks is said, okay, if we wanted to do what those people say they want to do by 2030, rule the entire planet, what would you have to do to make that happen? And so I started talking to experts, I started doing a lot of research, and then I started reaching out to other people like Jess here, and we started having conversations, that's the wrong one, having conversations about what is most likely to happen next here in the United States. And it was amazing when I said, okay, here I have a crazy idea, let me lay this out for you. Jess, what did you say?
They're doing it. We're in the middle of it.
So he was more emphatic than that, but that's exactly what he said. So here's the thing, folks. There's a mechanism in place for what comes next. You may not believe everything that we're about to tell you, but I can tell you everything we're about to tell you is happening, and it's happening at breakneck scale and breakneck speed. They've got a mission to accomplish by 2030. If you think the 2030 agenda has ended because Trump was elected, you're naive. It has not ended. It continues. The WHO, the WEF, those people are still meeting to do exactly what they want to do. And they've told you in no uncertain terms that you will own nothing and be happy. So here in America, we started working on that premise. How do we get to the point where people in this country are okay with that based on the Constitution, our values, our culture? How do we get there? Well, let me explain. This is one option. This piece from Glenn Beck probably spells it out best. I went to great lengths to get all the information, the same information he had. I happened to find this video, and I go, you know what? He says it a lot better than I'm going to be able to put it together. So I want you to listen to this next video from Glenn Beck for 10 minutes. And for you, I got to understand, I got to make you understand that each of these silos that we're going to talk about tonight is a tentacle that's coming around to do its job for globalization. You may not believe it, but you're going to want to listen to it, because by the time we're done, I think we will have proven the point of what happens next and how they're going to, bring America to its knees. Jess, did you have anything you wanted to say before we jump on this video here?
Fire away, buddy.
Here we go.
For the very first time in world history, there's something new that has happened. The entire globe is riding the same wheel at the same time, okay? We're all in this debt cycle, and this has never happened before. The cycle always begins the same way. The first step in this debt cycle is discipline. Discipline equals prosperity, okay? It goes right into prosperity, and every great empire starts with discipline. Rome did, rebuilding after all the wars with strict budgets and silver coinage and land reforms. It helped restore the battered middle class. Dutch Republic did the same thing. They invented modern finance while keeping spending in check, turning a swamp into the world's largest trading hub. Then the British Empire did it. After the Glorious Revolution, it brought fiscal stability and a gold-backed pound that the world trusted for over 200 years. When that fell, America did it. After World War II, our debts were manageable, our currency was solid, we were backed by gold, our productivity was unmatched, and we prospered. That's stage one, discipline into prosperity. And prosperity if not guarded, always leads to the second stage, complacency into excess. Okay? So success creates this fatal illusion. The moment, that where we all look at each other and go like, this is great. It's going to be like this forever. It's always been like this and it'll always be like that. Rome began borrowing heavily to pay for endless bread and circuses. France funded the palaces and the pensions and the perpetual wars through loans it could never repay. Britain, in the late 19th century, took its global empire for granted and levered itself into World War I. Then came World War II. And then America, beginning in the 1970s, untethered the dollar from gold and discovered that debt could replace discipline. So the second stage of the debt cycle is the age of entitlement expansion, imperial overreach, cheap credit, and political bribery disguised as compassion. Any of that sound like we've been there, done that? The Dutch called it windhandel, the trade in the wind, paper promises that replace real production. We call it stimulus, easy money, deficit spending. Different words, same exact sin. That leads you into stage 3, financialization. That goes into fragility. This is the most seductive stage. Rome debased its money until it was worth less than 2% of the original silver. The Byzantines watered down their unshakable dollar, if you will, and confidence collapsed. France printed their money backed by land until they were worth less and used as wallpaper. Weimar Germany did the same thing. They destroyed 1,000 years of savings in 18 months. Japan, 1990, papered over its real estate collapse with 30 years of zero interest rates. And America, after 2008, discovered this intoxicating illusion started by George W. Bush. I can violate the free market system to save the free market system. That's quantitative easing. Money conjured up without cost, without any restraint, without any consequence. In stage 3, nations convince themselves they're immune to any kind of gravity. Okay? This time it's different. We can manage this debt. Well, modern tools, you just don't understand. They'll, the rules no longer apply. You don't understand. Really, you don't understand. The old rules always apply because math is math. And stage 3 always ends exactly the same way wherever it's tried. The markets no longer trust the promises they're being fed, which leads us into stage 4, the breaking point. Every empire eventually reaches a moment where its debts cannot be serviced. They can't be inflated away quietly. They can't be rolled over without consequence. Rome reached it when they froze prices and shattered the last productive parts of its economy. France reached it in 1788 when it can no longer borrow. And that whole thing, came to a head. Britain reached it in 1931 and it abandoned the gold standard. Weimar reached it when inflation ate the soul of the nation and extremism took over. Japan reached when its bond market effectively became nationalized, propped up by its own central bank. And right now, America, Europe, China, Japan, and every other major power, listen to this carefully, have all hit stage 4 at the same time. Never before in human history has this happened. The bond markets are shaking. The currencies are all volatile. Politicians are praying that no one notices the numbers, that they no longer add up. Stage 4 is not coming. We are now living inside the opening act. This is so important. Yesterday, there was a story that said that this is going to be the biggest Christmas season ever. And I'm wondering to myself, I see the prices. I go to McDonald's. I go to the grocery store. I was in Walmart this weekend. I see the prices and I'm looking at the prices. And every time I see the prices, I'm like, how does the average person afford any of this? And yet we're spending, and I don't understand it. And I fear that we are doing what the government is doing. We're just spending because we think we can get out of it. Then comes stage 5. It's called the reset. Every debt system ends in one of 3 ways. They inflate the money so they can pay off the debt, and that's just an absolute wipeout. Weimar Republic did it, France did it, Rome did it, just a wipeout. Then there's a hard default and political upheaval. Russia did that in 1917. Argentina did it over and over again. War leading to a new monetary order. That's another one. The Napoleonic Wars, the British gold standard, World War II, Bretton Woods, all of that. But there is always a reset, always a new order that is born from the ashes of the old. And here's what makes this moment unprecedented. Rome collapsed by itself. France collapsed alone. Weimar collapsed by itself. Britain declined while America rose. It was always one country coming down and another country coming up. This time, all countries on both sides, the free world and the not so free world, there's no one rising. China is drowning in its local government debt. It's never going to say this, but it's a paper tiger. Europe is fractured and coming apart at the seams. Japan, demographic time bomb. America is politically frozen and insolvent fiscally. So for the very first time in world history, every major civilization has reached its peak of the debt cycle. This time, all at the same moment. No one's coming up. So what does that mean? Well, for the very first time in human history, it means when it arrives, it's not going to be regional. It will be global. It's not going to be slow. It'll be systemic. It'll be everywhere. Now, the hope the history books don't tell, and nobody in the media will tell you this, is with every one of those resets, every collapse, every crisis, it created the conditions for renewal. Rome, its fall, opened the door for a new Christian civilization. France, the revolution there, birthed the modern nation state. Britain's decline cleared the space for America's rise. The devastation of World War II led to the great expansion of prosperity, the greatest that the world has ever seen. So the next chapter is not written. What happens to us is not written. And whether we rise or fall from what's coming depends not on Washington, not on Wall Street, but on us in our homes and our families and our churches and our communities. The debt cycle is not prophecy. It is a warning. You cannot borrow your way out of moral, fiscal, or spiritual bankruptcy. Now, I don't feel like I chose this path. I mean, this with Bretton Woods and then 1972 coming off the gold standard and what they did in 2008 to bail out all the banks, I didn't have anything to say. Did you have anything to say about that? Because I didn't. I wouldn't have chosen those things. But the world is putting something together. And I want to show you what our choices are, because right now people say, I don't like what Donald Trump is doing, or I don't like the World Economic Forum, or I don't like what China. Okay, great. But I want you to know it's going to be one of these systems because it's being built. It always happens. When one is coming down, some new system, usually a country, but not a country this time, a new system begins to rise. And it happens before the fall. Because it's being built.
There you go.
Happens when one is coming down.
That's how it happens, folks. He's telling you exactly what they're doing in real time. I saw one of the comments go by that showed Z's, like, this is sleepy information. You, my friend, are the problem. You're not paying attention to what's being said. We're screaming that the mine has a leak in it. There's a problem here, and you don't have a problem with the problem. You want to make fun of what's going on. We are at the end of this country, folks. I cannot put this in your head hard enough. This is it. Once you start looking at the numbers, and over the next week, I'll be breaking out more and more of this. We are in a hard fix right now. What that means is, and just jump in anytime you want if you've got comment to make. But we are in a position right now, financially, that the experts know that once you pass certain thresholds, you've only got so much more time left. And based on that timeline, folks, we're looking at 18 to 36 months before the entire system implodes. And not just in this country, but globally, all at the same time, just like Glenn Beck was saying.
The one thing Glenn missed there was he was like, you've never seen a collapse like this of all nations at once, and he's wrong. That there's the Bronze Age collapse that everybody has been trying to figure out. It's where every major civilization all collapsed at the same time, and only Egypt survived, and they shrank down. And it was because all of the Bronze Age cultures were all, just like us today, economically tied. And it wasn't just an economic collapse, but there was also that warfare element as well. And when it goes back that far, there is that element to it that this is just human nature, because people don't change, and that these cycles repeat because people don't change, and the information has never been available. The difference here right now today that makes this unique is that we all are talking about it. We're aware of this. For the first time in history, we're aware of all the collapses back before, how they happened. We can share this information. That has never happened before. They all got pretty much blindsided. You know, even back to you go to the Great Depression, and even then the collapse of like 1880 before that with the railroads, where that major run on the banks, there was no warning out to anybody. Here we have this opportunity that if everybody will collectively wake the fuck up, stop feeding the beast, you know, it's just like Glenn said. What the fuck? How can this be a record Christmas year when everything is such shit? And they're spot on. It's just fucking credit cards, just piling it up. And it is
more and more debt. Everybody's doing the same thing, right?
But I've even met some people that when you explain this to them and they go, well, if it's all going to go, well, then fuck it, dude. I'm going to max this shit out. And it's like, you don't have to push the fucking car off the cliff, dude. You can take your foot off the gas. You can back yourself out of this, right? You don't want to be the dude pushing your debt.
But Jess, the problem is that these people have committed to this ideology and this belief structure that has gotten us to the point that we are now. They cannot back down, right? It's like the parent who finds out that the shot that they gave their kid a few years ago may eventually kill that kid. They're just learning that now, but they're never going to tell themselves that they did the wrong thing. They're always going to take that we had to do it, it was forced upon us, or I had to do it for my job, or I was doing it for other people to save other. It'll never come back to them. That accountability will never come back to them. What Glenn Beck said there, Jess, is true, is that before you can move from the old system to the new system, you have to create the new system. And we're seeing that happen right now. Let me bring it back around, because I think it's important. Glenn said it. We are currently at $36 trillion debt. That money will never be paid back, ever. I said that 4 years ago, when it was at $30 trillion. Before they started really jumping, and tagging it on, I said it'll never be paid back. I did the math. It cannot be paid back. There's not enough GDP to ever pay it back. Currently in this nation, we are at 350% of GDP. Yeah, 350% of GDP. That means we're spending 350 times more than what, or 3.5 times more than what we're actually bringing in. Yeah. Right? So if you understand that, we'll never pay it off, ever. They don't intend to. Tonight, we're going to get into that. Why did they take the value of the dollar that used to be worth 1/20th an ounce of gold and depreciate its value by 99.96 to the point where the penny is not even worth a penny?
And no longer
let that sink in, folks.
Minted.
Yep, no longer being minted. So the question, the thesis of what we've been talking about, Jess and I and others have been talking about for weeks, is how do you reset the planet and oppress a people without them realizing your true agenda? And the way you do that is slow. And every move you make, you convince the people that it's in their best interest for what you're doing.
Yeah,
Masses are 2 million. Go ahead, Jess.
It's the same gaslighting for Corona. Like and you can spot it because all you have to do is ask why. And if you don't get an answer to the why, and you're just called names or you're silenced or they make fun of you, that's bullshit.
Yep. Well, let me explain why I know what's going to happen next. Now, some people go, Kramer, you don't know what's going to happen. The American people won't let that happen. Yes, they will. Let me explain what the American people let happen over the last few years. The American people in 2016 allowed a rigged election. The 2016 election was rigged. It failed miserably. They thought that they were going to be able to do in 2016 what they accomplished in 2020. That's why everybody came out and said that Trump didn't have an opportunity. He didn't have a chance to win. All the polls, which were all fake, they now say they were fake, right? They all came out and said that he had less than a 1% chance to win the day before the election. Why? Because they were setting this in motion back then. Now, Glenn said, and it's funny, there are only 3 ways, and he's right, there are only 3 ways to have a reset on a national basis or international basis. Pestilence, disease, war, financial collapse. Guess what they got on tap?
All 3.
All 3. They're ready to do all 3. They don't care, folks. And if you think I'm crazy, if you think I'm insane, then you're not paying attention.
They hedge their bets. They're hedging their bets. They've got all 3 set up, and whichever one creates the easiest option for them, that's just the one they'll go with.
Yep.
It's the same thing as the pipe bomber. They had the pipe bomber thing on the J6, but then they ended up not needing it because they got the fucking crowd to go with it. So then they just ignore that part. These things are so easy to spot once you just step back and see the pattern.
Well, that's what, Jess, and that's what tonight is really about, right? Is we're going to showcase, pull back the blinders so that you can see how it's done. And I'm going to give you some examples that don't seem like examples, but for those that vote, those of us who follow it, and in particular in my case, I haven't done CIA color revolutions before. I've never done that, but I've done huge media campaigns and been responsible for millions of dollars being spent to make you buy what my client wanted you to buy. So there's a process, and that process is still the same. It doesn't matter one way or the other. All the techniques, all the tactics, exactly the same. So the question is how do you get the populace to do what you want? Well, it's already known by science that 80% of people will do whatever they're told without question. 80%. Oh, Kramer, that's bullshit. 75% of the planet got their first shot of COVID vaccine and did what they were told. 75%. You can get them to go along with at least one thing once, 75%. So I don't count on 80% of the population to do the right thing, either for me or for themselves. So how do you handle the outliers, Jess? If somebody refuses to play along, how do you handle them? If you're the government, what do you do?
They always go with slander first.
Yep.
Then they will try to censor you. Then they will try to sue you to bankrupt you. And if none of those 3 work, then they kill you.
And we look at Charlie Kirk and we go, okay, well, what did he do? What did he know? There was some reason to do that publicly. We'll get into that later as well. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. So if you're one of these silent hands, okay, and I got to be real honest with you, my job today, what I do today, and I told my wife, is that when I realized what it was, it kind of cracked me up. I get paid by billionaires to go make fun of other billionaires. My day job, that's what I get paid to do. When I realized that, I go, okay, it is what it is. They pay me well. I'm going to do my job well. But you have to ask the question, if you want to nudge somebody, use these techniques that I'm talking about, how do you do that? How do you nudge somebody, a powerful person, to do what you want them to do, not today, but down the road? Well, you do what they did to Trump. They need crypto in this next system that they're building. They need the blockchain in this next system that they're building. And they need it built prior to turning everything else off. Before the next system can come up, the old system has to die. And they don't want to build the new system on new money. No, they want to build it on old worthless money and then devalue it. This is the game, folks. This is exactly what they're doing. So you've realized that the election is soon. It looks like Trump, who's never been interested in pushing crypto at all, is going to win the race. And how do you get Trump into crypto and blockchain with both feet? How do you do that, Jess? Do you know how to do that?
Yeah, they were Trump like, to move? Look at all this Bitcoin that we've seized. You could attach it to wealth, and you could use it as a lending capacity. Yeah, and they were like, all their stolen crypto that they stole from, like, they legitimately stole a lot of that Bitcoin from, right? That's the majority of what they got it from, was off of the, God, dude, his name escapes me. But they accused him of insider trading and shit.
Oh, yeah. The dude that went down to
and he had to peace out
or whatever his name was.
United States.
Yeah. The kid went down to the Caribbean, right? And they brought him back, the curly-headed kid.
So they offered Trump all this free money. Look, you could do some of your projects, and he's like, oh, great, So he sees that wealth that way, and of course, all the technocrats are into it, and he's surrounded by nothing but technocrats.
But that's not what got Trump into crypto. Most people don't know what got Trump into crypto. You know how they forced him into crypto? They debanked him. They took his ability to do banking with JP Morgan Chase and other big bankers. They all turned their back on him as a customer and said, you can't do business here anymore.
Really?
He had no other opportunity or no other options. They pushed him to where they wanted him to go. This is what I'm saying, folks. This is what I do on a daily basis. I look at all the things, and then one moment there's a click in my head, and all of a sudden those things all line up. All the little silos are in place, and I understand from beginning to end how everything is going to work and how it's going to play out. I'm not real smart. I'm just diligent, right? And I got a photographic memory that puts it in there. I can't always recall it, but it's in there. And so here's the conclusion we have to ask, or come to. They needed Trump to be pro-crypto just long enough to get what they needed done. Now, I've said, Jess, I think you've said as well, do you expect Trump to survive his presidency?
No.
I don't either.
No.
He's
making too many same mistakes from the first round.
There's too many neocons.
Yep. And just people without his best interests in mind, and they're shielding from a public opinion. He just doesn't know. And everybody is screaming about it. Everybody can see that Pam Bondi is not coming through for nothing. Her and Cash and Dan, oh my God, dude, that Dan shit today, that on a Hannity.
Well, break that out. Yeah, I don't know if you've told that to anybody else yet. What you told me before we started was interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah, dude, I know what the FBI told me, that Dan's personal people are packing up all his shit in D.C. and moving it down to Florida. That he's on his way out of here. And it's like, how could he not be? Because, like, if you haven't seen the clip today where they were playing what he said when he was on his podcast and then what he said last night on Handy, and it's just absolute contradictions. Just complete 180s where he's like, basically, it's him calling bullshit on himself for the shit that he is saying today. It's just fucking unreal, dude. It's unreal. It's like body snatcher shit, right? You're like, how in the fuck? Because how do you take somebody that had what appeared to be like morals and dignity and standards and like a sense of honor, and it just disappeared in the flash of an eye?
Yep.
And it's like, that's the most obvious one. And it's like the only people, here's the wildest shit, dude. We voted, like most of us, for a Republican fucking president. The only people in Trump's cabinet that have held true to what they said they would do are fucking Democrats.
Here.
Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, dude.
Yep.
How the fuck is that?
Yep. Well, let me ask you this. So based on what we've talked about so far and what what Trump has done, do you think that Trump is complicit? Do you think that he knows what's going on and we've all been played for idiots? This is just one big game and we've been playing both sides and they're playing one team and that team is against us. Do you think he's complicit?
I don't think he's complicit. I think he is blind to certain things. I think he does not see all sides. And I also don't think that the deep state is just one single-minded entity. I think you're probably looking at like 3, 4, maybe even 5 entities within the deep state struggling for power. And it, you know, like Trump has clearly thrown in with the pro-Israel neocons, thinking like they're going to be the ones to help him against, you know, the left-wing deep state and the fucking rhinos. And it's, what do you, is he thinking like, I got to pick one team, I got to have somebody? But he's clearly not aware of what all the dangers are here. Even when he has his own CIA blowing the whistle to Jesse Waters that going to Venezuela is going to be a Gulf of Tonkin event. The CIA has him set up to Gulf of Tonkin him and Bay of Pigs and make him look like the absolute fool, dude. Yep. And it's like, yes, and what he says and what he thinks is he's going in there for the right reasons. But like this government does, even the military, the Navy doesn't even fucking know what the Air Force does, and the Air Force doesn't know what the Army does, and the Army doesn't even know what the fucking Army does. Right. Like, everything is so compartmentalized, and people are like, oh no, the military's in control, dude. Of some shit and some shit not. And but I'll tell you, Trump definitely isn't in control of the military. He's not in control of the military, the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ. None
the deep
of
state is.
100%.
That's what I've been saying for the longest time. I've been saying for the longest time that the machine moves on. They're using Trump in ways that they need to use him. They're pushing him here, pushing him there. They're pushing the nation here and there. And whether you are a Trump fanboy or not, right? You have to ask these hard questions. At some point, you got to ask them. We were asked, or we were told, give me power and we'll do these things. Those things haven't been done yet.
No.
The most important things that we were told that were going to be done have not been done. So I have to ask, you know, like what Trump did yesterday, where he said that he was going to write an executive order that would eliminate states' rights to be able to make AI regulations. Folks, I don't know how to tell you that. Just give me a raised hand if you believe that that's unconstitutional.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I think like anybody with a 6th grade understanding of the Constitution has to understand that you definitely cannot do that. Definitely not from the executive branch. Congress would have to write a law. Like executive orders only work one way. They're only federal, and the federal.
Well, they're only for the executive branch.
Yes.
They're only for the executive branch. They do not touch us. They don't mean anything to you and I, the citizens. It's just the executive branch and those agencies. That's it.
Yes. And the states' rights always come first. And it is different in different places. And it should be because, you know, where I am, South Dakota has far different concerns than fucking Florida. And of course you're going to need different laws. And Lord knows, like, and it's nothing good, because it is never good when you ever even begin to slightly infringe upon the Constitution and how that is all laid out. It's all or nothing. We have gotten here because we have allowed them to push around these fucking barriers. Oh, we'll let them, and that's what you're talking about, that slow roll. We'll erode this fucking shit here. We'll erode this shit over here. Like the sanctuary cities. They are all guilty of sedition.
100%.
Abraham Lincoln would have already arrested all these motherfuckers, the governors, the mayors, anybody. You are in violation of federal law. That is sedition, cut and dry. There doesn't even need to be an investigation. Like, constitutionally, by law, this is fucking it. Go fucking do it. Like, we can't even get the low-hanging fruit. We can't get fucking...
Well, so just ask yourself, if they're not going for the low-hanging fruit, and they're not going for the fruit above it, right, what are they doing? Dude, I keep hearing all these busts they're doing, but they're not doing busts to the people who are traitors to this nation. Is Trump going to allow these people to slide one more time? Is his DOJ going to allow these people to slide one more time? Because they were very clear. They told us that if they ever get power back, they're going to impeach him. I don't think that'll be an issue. He'll be gone before that's the issue. But they're going to come after you and I. Those people who supported Trump, who spoke up for MAGA, who said, my constitutional rights mean more to me than my life, and I'm willing to give it. I'm willing to come in. Are you willing to do the same? That scares the shit out of these people.
Yeah, and once
because they don't want that.
That's not even up for debate. Like, they 100%, that's all out. Arctic frost, that whole thing. Yep. They had literal lists of tens of thousands of people, from large name people all the way down to just people that just seemed like they were making trouble. They had them set for fucking actual military tribunals. And fucking they wanted executions on that shit. Jack
Well, did you hear what Swalwell said a few weeks ago?
All of that up. What's that?
Did you hear what Swalwell said a few weeks ago? He says if we give them power, they will impeach Trump. And then Raskin went a step further and said, and we'll go after the ICE agents who are doing their jobs. We'll go after all law enforcement who we believe have super exceeded their authority. They're doing it again, folks. They're telling you exactly what they're going to do. And what they do is they nudge things this way, they nudge things that way, and they make things happen that is negative to you. Now, at the time, you hear some kind of comment or some kind of ad or some kind of statement, and you ask yourself, well, how did that happen? Okay, well, I guess that's just how it is. And you move on about your day. What I do is I look at these little things that are happening and go, okay, that's just one more sign. One more sign. For example, one of my signs, the economy is not doing as well as they say it is when you drive through communities and you see boat after boat after boat, or motorcycle after motorcycle after motorcycle, or sports car after sports car after sports car, the luxury items of your life out in people's front yards for sale by owner. Go to the tire stores. They'll tell you what the economy is.
Around here, the repo trucks be working overtime.
Yep.
I got a buddy in repos. They've never even seen it so wild. They had to buy another lot because they had nowhere to stack the cars. And the overturn is just like 30 days. They don't even have to hold on to the car that long before it's fucking, they don't, and people don't even care. Look, go drive around any major city, and all I hear from everybody is the cars just litter the roads.
Yep.
Because people can't even afford like simple maintenance. So they just drive the wheels off them. They pull the plates. Yeah, and they fucking walk away from them. They're like, fuck that thing.
Yep, happening everywhere. So, like I said, these people, and I call them the silent hands, they're up there moving things and nudging things. They're having this person go on TV and say this, or they're moving the market here in this way. And you think to yourself, it really doesn't affect you all that much, but it does. I told you that we're about 18 to 36 months out. It's important to know your dates. And these are hard numbers, financial numbers, that when certain things happen, the dominoes start falling, there's no stopping it. Now, I'm not a financial expert, but I can read a spreadsheet. And we are in trouble. We're $36 trillion in debt. They're worried, folks. This is just one more sign they're worried about what's coming next.
Our primary powder supplier has informed us that due to U.S. and foreign military commitments for small arms and artillery contracts, they will not be able to provide powder to us in the near future. To load ammo, you need powder. Starting very soon, we'll be temporarily shutting down operations at our AAC ammo factory. It's not what we want to do, but it's the reality of what we are in right now, and you deserve to hear why. Without powder at a decent cost, we can't build ammo and still sell it at a fair price. This is not us closing the doors for good. We have a team keeping the machines maintained and ready to turn back on. This is a supply and cost problem. We can't get powder at a price that lets us keep making honest, affordable ammo. We are working with a large firm that is standing up a new powder factory, which hopefully will be complete in about a year. This venture is extremely important as the Second Amendment of U.S. citizens is threatened by the military-industrial complex's appetite for wars. We believe that freedom should be available at all times, and we are dedicated to making that happen. After the powder factory is complete, we will have an alternative source for powder to go along with our sources for primers, brass, and strong 2A partners supplying projectiles. This will give us the ability to produce even when the military-industrial complex will not supply the American people. As the new powder source comes online, we'll fire the machines back up and let everyone know. Keep an eye on our social pages for updates. We love and appreciate the wonderful employees of AAC Ammo. All current AAC Ammo employees are being given the opportunity to find other positions with
we'll move
AAC
on.
Ammo's
He's
related
doing a
companies.
pitch there now, but listen to that. That's how they do it, folks. They tell you that there's an emergency, there's something happening, and they got to do this and that, and then this little company over here can no longer produce the ammunition that they've been producing. And then another one can't, and another one can't, and another one can't. That's how they do it. It's incremental. You don't notice it happening all at one time, but before you know it, every store is closed, every option is gone. This is what's happening in America. The closer we get to what they have planned, they'll make everything you need to protect yourself or just survive either illegal or hard to get. That's the option they have. Roosevelt did that back in the soft reset of 1933. What do you know about that? Do you know much about that, Jess?
Oh, only the work programs and the social and all the welfare programs that came in on that. But
well, that's not the reset. That's the effect of the reset. What they did is they came in, folks, and they made gold illegal. They made gold illegal for U.S. citizens to own. You had to go sell your gold to the government. Otherwise, you were a criminal.
I remember that.
And then once they had all that gold, they reset the value of gold to pay off their debts. They're going to do it again, folks, but they're doing it on a global scale. They're doing it on a global scale. Europe has already lost. It's gone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you heard, well, I'm sure you did. You know, they've been censoring people in Great Britain. They've been locking people up for praying out in the street in front of a whatever. They find it offensive. And now they've done this thing where they're getting rid of jury trials.
This is the most authoritarian thing the government has done to date, and it's a pretty high bar. The government is going to scrap the right to trial by jury. That's a right that dates back to the Magna Carta 800 years ago. The right to a trial by jury is an important bulwark of English liberty, but it's a particularly important safeguard of the right to free speech. We've done some research at the Free Speech Union and found that when it comes to speech offences, people are much more likely to be acquitted, to be found not guilty by juries than they are by magistrates or judges. One particular case in point is Jamie Michael, former Royal Marine, accused of stirring up racial hatred because of a 12-minute video he'd posted on Facebook encouraging people to protest against illegal immigration. It was a ludicrous charge, but nevertheless he was prosecuted. There was a jury trial. He pleaded not guilty. It took that jury all of 17 minutes to unanimously acquit him. Had it just been a judge, I'm not sure he would have been acquitted. If you care about the right to trial by jury, if you care about free speech, go to our website, sign our petition. You can either click on the link below, the link in our bio, or go to www.saveourjuries.co.uk.
Okay, that gentleman there is from the group Free Speech Union. I'll be talking to Connie Shaw from that organization next week on the podcast. She's going to break down what's going on in Great Britain, what their new laws are doing, and the limitations. Now, Jess, I think that we can all agree that what's going on in Great Britain, what's going on in France, and what's going on in these other Western European nations, they're all individually doing something differently, but it's all testing what the next system is. Would you agree?
Oh, I mean, all we need to do to see what they want for us here is to look at Great Britain, Canada, France. It's all the same plan. That's why it all looks the same. Yeah.
Well, I keep saying they're not real smart, but they are ruthless, right?
Yeah.
They just keep rehashing the same shit over and over again, hoping that we won't recognize it. They relabel it, they rename it, but it's still the same shit regardless.
Yeah, they try something, it maybe doesn't work. They just rebrand it, tweak around the edges, try it again. They have no shame. Even
Absolutely
when you
none.
catch them lying, they don't even care. They just ignore it.
One of the things that we're doing tonight is we're bringing forward a bunch of information all at once. And the reason I'm bringing it all at once is because I want you to understand how the system works before we tie it all together. Makes sense? Okay, so have you been paying attention to Nepal? Jess, what do you
yeah.
think about what's going on over there?
When they turned off the internet there and the
Yeah.
whole people tore down the palace and overthrew that government in 36 hours?
3 days, yeah.
They pushed too hard.
Well, see, that's what it looks like from the outside. But when you study it, I don't think that that's the case. I don't think those kids did that. I don't think that was organic because it was pretty fucking fast. They did everything within 36 hours. The entire government was overthrown, right?
Oh, yeah.
President's wife killed. New government installed within 7 days.
Seriously.
That's fairly efficient for a bunch of kids.
I didn't know they had a new government that fast and everything was just done. Yeah,
Let me read this off for you here for a second.
100%. Then that's a color revolution right there.
That's a color revolution.
That's exactly how it goes.
And here's the reason they did that. The reason they did color revolution is because they had a brand new technique of being able to, get the vote quickly and efficiently. You know, it's all safe. It's on your phone. It's on Discord. What could be the problem? Let me walk you through this real quick. This is the timeline of the 2025 Nepalese Gen Z protest and government overthrow.
7 days.
Let's see here. September 4th. This is where it kind of starts. On September 4th, the government enforces the ban suspending access to platforms for national security reasons. This is seen as an attack on free speech and youth organizing, igniting outrage. Youth pivot to unbanned apps like Discord and VPNs for coordination. By September 8th, this is day one of protest, 9 a.m. I'm not going to go through the whole day, but thousands show up and do their thing. September 9th, day two, the overthrow. Day two, right? This is why Jan 6 was so dangerous for the people inside the building. They know how color revolutions happen and how they get out of control. They know because they do this shit.
Well, that's exactly what that was supposed to do. Like they uncovered those documents. They thought that when they shot Ashley Babbitt in the head, they expected that crowd to then force forward. Like that's them misunderstanding us and the people in this movement. They think us violent of what their little FBI profiles say of us, but it was respectful, it was peaceful. But we're
law-abiding citizens who want law and order, and we want our people held accountable and to do what the Constitution says they're supposed to fucking do, or they hang.
Yeah,
those are the rules. I didn't make them up.
They have repeatedly attempted this color revolution on us. The Summer of Love, the BLM riots. That is all exactly what that was. These paid organized protests, these fed surrections, and it is try to elicit that violent response to us. And it's amazing that it hasn't worked. It's amazing.
Well, here's what I took away is that within 7 days, they overthrew the government and installed a new one using a Discord server. So you got to ask yourself, who generated that voting software? How was that done? How did they keep that? And one of the things that I read in here that I found very interesting, the voting process was, you ready? Open polls. There were 7,700 votes, 5 candidates.
7,700.
That's all it was. It was just 7,700. Overthrew the entire government. 7,700 people overthrew the government. They used community mods and enforced rules against bots and trolls. That's what the election officials on the Discord server did. Did you hear that? It sounded like people on TikTok, that they sat there and allowed who got to say something and who didn't get to say something, who got to vote and who didn't get to vote.
7,700. I mean, come on. There's 29.6 million people in Nepal and 7,700, and that's exactly it right there. That is the biggest thing they do to us, is to try to disillusion everybody so that you don't vote. Like, not voting is the worst thing you can do. This would all actually be a lot better if everybody started to understand what primary elections are.
Exactly.
And actually went to the primary elections instead
preach,
of
brother, preach.
The fucking 4% that show up, because that's why you're always stuck with the turd sandwich and a piece of shit, is because you didn't go to the primary elections where you chose your candidate.
That's where the people vote. That's what most people don't understand, is that the primary is the people's election. That's your ability to term limit these motherfuckers. They're already term limited. You guys keep saying you want them to term limit themselves. They'll never do it. They're making almost $200,000 a year, working 3 days a week with a bunch of perks. They are not going to term limit themselves ever. But the Constitution already term limits them. It's called their term. You go in and vote them out.
It is so easy to primary these motherfuckers. Because so few people turn out to primaries, one social media campaign, statewide, organized even just roughly, would easily be able to take a primary. 100%. Like, look at how APEC can easily primary any candidate up against them because no one shows up. You're talking about usually 3 to 4% of that state's population. It's fucking nothing. It's just like Nepal, where 7,000 people can replace the whole government. It's right there. And you know these primaries are still that dangerous because you will never even hear them mentioned in mainstream media. They will
Nope.
never talk about them because
Nope.
they are terrified of them. And
Yep.
voting does work. Voting does
Voting
work.
works if
Otherwise,
you
Donald
vote in the
Trump wouldn't
primary.
be president.
Jess, voting only works if you vote in the primary.
Yes.
The guy in the fall is a party man, right? That's if you don't vote in the primary, the guy in the fall is the incumbent.
Yes.
He's owned. He's leveraged.
Yep.
I don't care how nice he is. I don't care how nice he is, how big his smile is. I don't give a shit. He's owned. If he's an incumbent, he's owned. There's very few in Congress that I don't think are owned. Tim Burchett is one of them. Why? Because he's the one always bitching about how everybody is owned.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
He's calling for the end of all this bullshit. Is he owned? I don't know, but he's preaching the right message, and until I find out he's owned, I'm going to say he's probably not owned. But we've got to get past this. Jess, I'm glad you brought that up because that is one of my core issues, is that in the state of Indiana, in the 24 election, only 9% of registered Republicans voted in the primary.
Yeah.
9%. We ended up re-electing Jim Baird. We had a guy running against Jim Baird, right? But we couldn't beat him. We couldn't beat Jim Baird. The machine was too big. Jim Baird was the deciding vote on that $1.9 trillion spending bill. Then he came back to Hoosiers and lied to us about it, said, no, I didn't vote for that. Well, your vote is there. Oh, that was a mistake. I tried to get it cleared up, but that was a mistake. That's not how it works, Jim. The average Joe out there may believe that, but I don't. Now, let's get back to this Nepalese thing, because I think this is important. Everything is done for a reason. So listen to all the kids out there that are watching what's going on in Nepal, thinking, oh my God, I want the same exact thing to happen in this nation. And then they hear that the entire election was based on discord, right? What are they going to want? They're going to want the same thing here, that same ease of use. And how do I know that this was a color revolution backed by the CIA? There's one way you can tell for sure. This right here.
I want us to be able to vote by phone. I think every Californian
Vote by phone.
Vote by phone. Yeah, if we can do our taxes, do our make our healthcare appointments, make essentially do your banking online, you should be able to vote by phone.
Vote by phone. Vote by phone. Interesting.
We've all seen bot farms. Like, you got to be kidding me.
This is a leading candidate for the governor of California thinks that voting by phone is safe.
Why would California even need to cheat anymore? They don't cheat enough already? Like, they've already cheated themselves into communism? Like, what do they even need? Oh, that's him trying to spread it. Obviously, That's what that is. You know?
Yep. Well, we come back to, if you're going to make the entire system fall, and you don't want anybody acting out against you, you have to do certain things in certain ways so that you have the least amount of resistance. Again, I want to reiterate, I'm a strategist. That's what I do for a living. So I look at very complex issues, and I figure out how to work them backwards or work them forwards in what needs to take place, how many people we need, what resources we need, how much lead time do we need, how much money do we need. All of those things come into play. Right? So when you do that for a living and you see processes in place, when you see those same exact tactics being utilized against you as an American citizen, well, you start doing what we're doing tonight. So let me ask you a question. If you're going to create a new system, what do you want to do before you kill the old one? Do you know what that is?
Piss everybody off?
Well, that's part of it. They've done that. You have to create the new system before you get rid of the old system. You have to create the new system before you do the old system. So let's take a look at that. Why is China, and by the way, China isn't the only place, but why is China one of those places that we know of where their citizens spent billions of dollars building cities that nobody lives in? Why? They were supposed to be investments. That's what they were told. Folks, they are creating the George Jetson future of tomorrow. They're building it right now. They don't intend for us to be there. Let me explain what I mean by that, and just jump in any time. They're going to need plenty of data centers for this new world. If you know anything about China and know anything about their data centers, They have them all over the country. They cannot have the social credit system that they have without having huge amounts of data servers. Why? Because they got to track everything that you do on a daily basis. Everything, every moment. And where are they putting these data centers? They're not putting them in out in the country, out in the boonies. No, they're putting them in communities in the suburbs, right around communities. In particular, communities around water. And in those communities, they're doing what? They're pulling all this water out of the system. People are complaining, water tastes bad, their lakes are low. And the thing that you have to ask yourself is, why would government do that? Why would they make it so miserable for these people to live next door to these machines humming all night long? Well, my theory is they won't stay. They just want to be where the water is. It doesn't matter about you. It doesn't matter about your property value, the noise, or anything else. All they're concerned about is being able to control in the next step. And all of these data centers are being built with fake dollars, folks. All of them. The AI divisions of the Big Seven only create or generate about $60 billion in new money, new revenue. Now, they're saying that it's going to explode. It's going to be much bigger than that. Bullshit. AI has hit its peak. AI will never be used the way that they promised it. How AI will be used is to track you and I. That's exactly how it'll be used. The data centers will be utilized to make our lives miserable and track everything that we do and tell us what we can say and control our money and everything else. Take a listen to this piece about what the data centers are doing in communities around the country.
This is our cold water pressure in the kitchen. This is where I fill up water for storage. Those are the things we have to fill up to flush the toilets.
So you can see the sediment from the data center. Wow, and that's just from the water coming out of your faucet.
Yeah. And this is what's in all the pipes.
Just the well itself is probably 20,000, and that's not counting any of the
all the
faucets.
replacement of the fixtures and faucets
just
and
the well.
toilets and the lines that come underneath the house. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There's nothing that you can do, and they don't care.
I'm here in Mansfield, Georgia, driving by Meta's new 2 million square foot data center facility. Facilities like this are being used to power things like ChatGPT and other AI tools that are becoming integrated into our daily life.
Data centers, going to be a very hot item.
This entire supercomputer is built to power Grok.
We see data centers as the most exciting asset class.
Meta is building a 2 gigawatt plus data center that is so large it would cover a significant part of Manhattan.
But data centers come with big costs, from light and noise pollution to the environmental impacts, to the potential rising costs of energy bills. These facilities put extraordinary demand on the power grid and require entirely new infrastructure.
Oh my God. They should be responsible for that, not us.
Search the internet for profits that Meta has made, Amazon, Microsoft. They can afford to pay for their own generation.
We came to Georgia to ask two questions. What's the true cost of the AI revolution, and who should be paying for it? Your house is here, and the data center's right there.
It's less than 400 yards.
Beverly and Jeff Morris bought their home an hour's drive from downtown Atlanta in 2016, but their roots in the community run much deeper.
Being in the country has always just been my peace and my therapy. When we found this place, we decided that this was it. It was perfect.
I was actually raised probably 5 miles from here. It felt like coming home.
The data center that's now the Morris' next door neighbor happens to be owned by Meta, the company you know for Facebook and Instagram, but has also been breaking into artificial intelligence. They started construction on this data center campus in 2018.
Definitely changed everything. They destroyed the environment, taking down all the trees across the road.
Beautiful pines, beautiful forest.
The light pollution is...
We don't have to have a night light in the house. You can walk around the house at night and see everything. It's that bright.
This is a video of the dust from Facebook where the construction was.
What it looks like right now.
Out my front door. The wind blowing in all of this stuff from across the construction, across the road.
This is all from Meta.
Yeah, I was standing on my front porch. I think eventually that affected our well water. We're on a well here, and we started having issues with our well in 2018. I have to replace the hot water heater. I've replaced 2 washing machines and a dishwasher because of the sediment that's coming in.
A lot of what the Morrises are facing is from the polluting effects of this massive construction, but that's only one part of the story. There are serious costs to communities once data centers are operational too. To explain that, we have to back up for a second. I wouldn't blame you if you were asking yourself, what the heck is a data center anyway? Their origins date back to early, clunky supercomputers or mainframes in the 1950s and 60s. And then in the 90s, with the birth of the internet, the modern data center was born as a way for internet providers to connect businesses and the world to the web. In the 2010s, data centers became larger as they became critical to new cloud storage.
To the cloud. With the cloud, we share a sync folder that allows us to all work on the same documents.
Everything from your pet photos to entire workplaces to files for video streaming, like this video you're watching right now. We're in the cloud. Today, we are in the midst of a tectonic shift in processing needs, as large as the birth of the internet. Artificial intelligence.
A transformational moment for data center demand.
But the thing is, AI processing demands are much larger. One report showed that a Google search using a ChatGPT-like AI feature used 30 times as much power as a normal Google search. In the next 3 years, data center use of electricity is expected to double or even triple. And the state of Georgia has the fastest data center growth in the entire country.
The 2 biggest reasons data centers come to Georgia are that electricity rates for industrials, which is the class that they're in, are 42% below the national average. And the second biggest one are data center tax breaks. They received over $180 million in tax breaks last year.
The week we were in Georgia, a showdown was happening at the state capitol over 2 bills tied to data centers.
Senator Hofstadter had proposed 2 different bills, and one of them was SB 34, which was the data centers bill, to move the burden of the operational costs of data centers from ratepayers to the data centers themselves.
And what is SB 94?
That is the Consumer Utility Council, a legal advocate for ratepayers and small businesses.
Bills like these are the result of mounting residential anger and the work of dedicated advocates across the state, like Diana Dietz, who lives 50 miles away from the Capitol in Fayette County.
This is a huge industrial project plopped in a residential area. This was the original plan, 122 acres. And then the Development Authority got involved.
In 2022, officials in Fayette County voted to annex and rezone an additional 412 acres for a data center campus. Fayetteville's City Council voted 5-0 in favor of the development, despite passionate opposition from some local residents. The site was then purchased by QTS, which is owned by Blackstone, for $153.8 million.
These speculators, investors, are secretly buying up land right next to homeowners. And it was all done so that when we all went to the 4 public hearings between the county and the city, it was a done deal. This is the one that's currently under construction, and this is where Gene and Joe are.
Gene and Joe Marshall live on the edge of Fayetteville in Fayette County on an 8-acre property.
This driveway is almost the line for Fayette County versus Fayetteville, where QTS's property is located. We have absolutely no say in anything that happens over here.
Despite their vocal opposition to the project, living next to construction on all sides of their home has become their daily reality for the last 2 years.
They do nightly pours over here, and in the back part at the other building, the lights are shining and there is noise. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. So they don't stop. Oh yeah, sure.
We went to visit Nikki Vanderslice, who heads up the Fayette County Economic Development Authority, a non-governmental agency that played a central role in the marketing of the land for data center development. For residents who live alongside these data centers, life has become very difficult. What do you say to them?
Well, I say to them that there's a couple of things. One, we were very transparent. The Development Authority was very open about attracting a data center, and there wasn't any resistance until it came to their property specifically.
Vanderslice says data centers are good for the community, even if some don't see the benefits yet.
In 2021, that property paid $36,000 in property taxes total. In 2024, on raw land, it paid $1.13 million in property taxes. That contributed $760,000 to our local Board of Education. I'm apologetic that they're being impacted, but I also see the benefits of what the companies are doing and how they're improving our economy. And so there's the balance that when you have, 200 out of 120,000 people, that you have to balance what's the highest and best use for the whole of the community.
It's just the height of selfishness to imagine that one county's benefit to the huge detriment of 158 other counties in Georgia that now have to pay higher electric bills is okay. It's not okay. It drives inequity. It's very immoral too.
That's Patty Durand, and as you can tell, she does not agree with Nikki Vanderslice. Patty is a longtime consumer advocate and expert on energy policy who's been raising the alarm about rising costs of electricity related to data centers.
Are data centers going to drive up energy costs for residents across the state?
On May 1st, Georgia Power residential ratepayers experienced a 24% rate increase. Just since 2023, Georgia Power has raised rates 6 times.
And related to those rate hikes, remember those 2 bills we mentioned earlier? We were with Patty as she was watching a live feed of the Senate floor.
Today is crossover day, which means any bill that does not get through one side of the House or the Senate to the other side is dead for the year. And right now, Senate Bill 34 is not on that list.
By later that evening, both bills had failed to get a vote. As disappointed and angry as Patty was, she wasn't too surprised.
Georgia legislators are getting soaked with money from Georgia Power.
Is that a conflict of interest?
Absolutely. It is clearly corrupting. This is the highest paid utility CEOs in the country. Why is the poorest region in the country paying the most to our CEOs?
$23 million, $33 million.
It's ridiculous how much money they make.
Our time in Georgia is crucial to understanding what's happening all across the country because the growth of data centers is not slowing down anytime soon. And tech billionaires have already been complaining about the amount of red tape involved in powering this growth.
Getting energy permitted is like a very heavily regulated government function. And if you're talking about building large new power plants or large build outs, that is just a heavily regulated thing.
The regulatory body in question is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, also known as FERC, an independent and historically nonpartisan agency that regulates interstate transmission of electricity, natural gas, and oil. But just last month, President Trump signed an executive order placing FERC under White House control. And he's been boasting about his ability to fast-track new projects.
We're going to get very rapid approvals in the United States. Like with the AI plans, under emergency declaration, I can get the approvals done myself without having to go through years of waiting.
With this alliance between the federal government, Silicon Valley, and utility monopolies, who's looking out for regular Americans like the Morrises?
During the peak season, our electric bill was maybe $250. Yeah. And now it's probably $400.
Your electricity bill has doubled. Wow.
It's been a struggle.
Every month it's a struggle. Jeff would like to retire, but he keeps working because we have to pay our bills.
Do you think that people should have to pay more because of data centers?
No, absolutely not. They should pay for that difference. It's hard enough for a regular person to pay their electric bill as it is. I don't think that's right at all.
We reached out to the big tech companies, including Meta and QTS, asking for an interview and a tour of their facilities, but both declined to participate in the story.
Durand says despite the bill's failure, the fight will go on. A number of other states have similar bills up for debate right now.
The reason I think other states should pass it, whether we do or not, is that data centers could possibly come to their state next. There needs to be legislation to protect them because by all accounts, data center growth is going to be very fast.
Before you go, please support our work by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We're always looking to tell more stories like this.
Okay, let me jump back in here. I'm going to bring you back in, Jess. I know I told you on the phone I wasn't going to, but I'm going to bring you back in for a second because I want your thoughts on this. The big seven, so Meta, Amazon, etc., their AI divisions only generate about $60 billion in revenue currently, but they've put out commitments for $1.7 trillion in spending. Now, if you do the math real quick in your head, do you ever think that'll be paid back?
It's a little upside down. Unless, probably with their fucking black budget government payoffs where they're selling their information backdoor. Is that it?
Well, no, I think what they're doing is I think they've realized the economy is trash, the money is worthless, they get these huge loans, they make these huge commitments. JP Morgan Chase and the rest of the banks all know the collapse is coming.
Yeah, and since their operation is the last piece of the puzzle, they can blow it all on that, because once they're in place, I'll never have to pay it off, because that's when I can pull the plug.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. People are looking at AI as being the solution. They're seeing it as this new solution. I've used it a lot. I'm creative, right? I come up with ideas out of nowhere. Creative ideas, something that nobody else has ever thought of before. That's what I do. AI is incapable of doing that.
Yeah.
It's a put words in, get words out function. Now, they may have more advanced models than they're showing us currently, but based on what I'm seeing right now, all these valuations or evaluations on the current technology does not warrant a $60 billion collective going out and committing $1.7 trillion in new money. What I think is going to happen, what I think is happening is they're spending old dollars that are worthless before the collapse on hard commodities so that when the new system starts, they're ready to go. That's what they've done before, right? When we come back, oh, by the way, I want to add, this lady in the piece there, did you hear her say that that this new center brought $1.3 million in taxes paid? Did you hear her say that? That the data center, initially the taxes on that property were only $36,000, but because the data center was there, it generated $1.3 million.
In tax.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Property.
That's not how it works, right? Let me explain something, folks. When they come in and give a tax abatement, which is what they did to get these data centers into the locations, and how I know this because I've been in the meetings, right? I've been in the meetings where they're talking about it, and I've been at the city-county meetings where we're all fighting against it. I've been able to be on both sides, and I'm telling you, what they're telling the public is not what is happening. They are building these systems because they intend to use them to enslave us. I know it sounds crazy, but I want you to understand I am not a conspiracy theorist. I look at everything around me. I'm a strategist. I look at it. Is it going to affect me? Does it touch me? Does it hurt me? Is it a threat? Do I have to worry about all those things? And the more I look at this, I'm going, this is all bullshit because this is not how the system works. We are being lied to on a daily basis. Jess, back me up on this. AI is this magic tool that's going to save the planet, but the number one use for it currently is to censor us on TikTok. Am I right?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You will all notice we are not live on TikTok because pretty much either one of these faces hit TikTok live, ban, permanent ban.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah.
We know that. That's why we chose not to go there tonight. My point is this, Jess, is that we are in a tail dive in this nation and people don't understand it. Now, there's this myth.
Well, but like, when you say AI is here to enslave you in these systems, you need to understand it's soft slavery. It's not a master with a whip. It is that soft coercion slavery where you will just be put in a box. Certain things won't be available for you to see. Certain other people won't be able to see what you do. Like the ads will be pushed to you in certain ways. Like it's not until you steer too far outside of the box that maybe say like, oh, you're not allowed to buy this now, or you can't buy that. Or you won't
look at the sleeping kids in China, right? The kids that are sleeping on the streets are the ones that have been kicked out of the system because they're not playing by the rules.
Yes.
That's what they have planned for you. So the social credit system that they're using in China, China took decades to build their social credit score system. Decades. We have to play catch up. For us to be able to do the same thing, we've got to play catch up. Now, next, I'm going to tie it all
on
together.
That point, like
go ahead.
what that dystopian view looks like for a social credit score, everybody needs to go find. Have you seen the Black Mirror episode on that?
Oh,
Creamer?
that's it.
That's it right there.
Every one of them.
Yeah, dude.
Watch Black Mirror.
Every
That's the
single
future
one
they have
of the
planned for
first
you.
two seasons. The first two seasons, the fucking robots, the AI, all of it. It's
all of
that. Is that those are those. That's them telling you what they are going to do, because they have to tell you what it is explicitly, because they need your compliance.
I said that this morning to a buddy of mine who's an establishment Republican in D.C., and he goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "It's their religion." He goes, "Well, what's the religion?" I said, "I don't know what it is." I said, "I assume it's Satanism, but I don't want to put a name on it."
Took the words out of my mouth. It's Satanism.
But
it's Satan,
you know, but to be able to lie to you, to be able to deceive you, they have to tell you exactly what they're going to do. Otherwise, karma will come back and get them. So they always tell you. That's what the Georgia Guidestones were about. They want 500 million people or less on this planet. They've been very clear about it, right? The WEF, the WHO, very clear on what they want. And just when we come back, we're going to break into the last part of this and then start taking a couple phone calls. I want to hear what people have to say about what we've been talking about. I want you to think EMP Commission. If you know what that means, you know what it means.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
The price of plastic is going up. Way up.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense.
And no, it's not because of Trump's tariffs or the wars around the globe. It's because corporations like Walmart and Colgate have swallowed the left's recycling fairy tale, hook, line, and sinker.
I'm Paul Chesser, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Corporate Integrity Project.
At this year's shareholder meetings, the National Legal and Policy Center decided to do something radical, like saying the quiet part out loud.
We're bringing these proposals to bring truth to where there's been a lot of lies and light where there's been a lot of darkness.
So what exactly is the left's big lie? That endlessly recycling plastics is sustainable, magical, and saves the planet. Now, here's the truth.
Companies like Walmart and Colgate are following a playbook by the environmental left who believe that there's an infinitely circular economy that can be created by endlessly recycling plastics.
Spoiler! The left's magical circular recycling economy is actually a black hole that swallows big profits and spits out higher prices.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense. Forcing recycling into the whole process of plastic packaging is bad for the consumers, it's bad for the shareholders, and it's bad for the planet.
Logic isn't what these companies are after. They want praise from activist investors and ESG cultists. Meanwhile, real shareholders like the NLPC are left to clean up the mess.
The political left have driven these corporations leftward on the recycling issue and specifically with plastics packaging.
The NLPC proposed a revolutionary idea. Use science and economics before you blow millions on virtue signaling. Genius, right?
We are calling for an injection of truth and objective scientific and economic analysis that can be considered seriously and drive down costs as opposed to driving up costs that these shareholder proposals from the left have brought in.
And what's the goal? Simple. Lower costs, fewer emissions, and actual results. Not glossy brochures full of woke buzzwords and mythical outcomes.
It's unrealistic, and so our proposal calls for truth in recycling in their policies. That will help reduce the cost of their plastic packaging. It reduces the weight, it lowers emissions, and it does actual environmental improvement by having a real scientific and economic analysis rather than a propaganda approach to plastics policies.
You'd think that would be obvious. But in today's ESG boardrooms, common sense is considered more dangerous than toxic waste.
We act on behalf of ourselves and our fellow shareholders to put true economics and scientific research in all the policies that corporations institute. That improves shareholder return.
And that wraps up this episode of the NLPC Report. For more information or to get in-depth reporting on this story and more, please visit the National Legal and Policy Center at npc.org.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project, and we are walking you through tonight what is going on in this nation, how we got here, what's happened before. If you listened early at the beginning of the broadcast, we had Glenn Beck kind of explain everything, where we are financially. And for those of you just joining, let me break it down with my special guest, Jess, here real quick. You all know him. You've seen his face across all social media, just like mine. Glenn Beck told us that we're fucked. Basically. Now, he's a Christian. He didn't say it that way, but that's what he meant. He was soft shoeing it. Yeah. He was telling it, Jess. I mean, you gotta agree, right? We're in trouble in the position that we're in.
100%. We're in that. We are in that civilizational turn. We are in that fourth turning. We have reached that point, the 250-year cycle that every civilization experiences as you come through it. And what they are attempting to do is manage that collapse. They are attempting to not only manage it, but then profit from it. Because you only have to know even the last 1,000 years of history to see it repeat so many times that it's plainly obvious. Glenn laid it all out, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any more blunt than that. Folks, let me be real clear with you, and I want you to understand the urgency of the situation. You're heading into Christmas, and you think everything is good. You got a job, everything's good. You just got paid. You just went and got everything that you need. My son was let go today. My son's a plumber. Plumbers don't get let go. He's a master plumber. He's really, 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 really good at what he does. Right? He's the top biller for the company that he works for. They let him go because they can't afford him. These are the signs that we look at for the future. What indicators do we have that the things that we're being told by the mainstream media, the things that we're being told by our politicians are not true? We know the truth. We're living them. So there's a bunch of you out there that are saying, oh, Kramer, you're full of bullshit. You haven't thought this fully out. And I have. What you're going to say is that the American people will rise up and that they will stop this bullshit from happening. They will not. Here's how I know. In 2016, they rigged an election and failed. They spied on a sitting president. They spied on a candidate to become president. Then they released information. They used the systems of our nation against not only our president, but us. Then we roll into 2020. They released a pathogen on the world to make sure that an election did not happen the way that we wanted it to happen. And in the process, violated constitutional law after constitutional law across the nation, breaking election law left, right, and center, and none of you did anything. None of you rose, none of you stood. You're not going to stand next time. Then we get to January 6th. There was a group of us who decided to go to January 6th and air our grievances as we are allowed to. And what happened to that? Well, the media made it sound like we were a bunch of raving lunatics that were ready to overthrow the government. We weren't. We were pissed off because the 2020 election was rigged and we knew it. That's why we were there. We didn't burn. We didn't loot. Oh, we did a little rioting. But a little rioting these days, as long as it's mostly peaceful, is okay. Do you know how I know mine was all peaceful? Not a single fire. And the only people that got killed that day were killed by the state, capital S. It wasn't us killing them. But what did they do? They lied to us. The media lied to us. They lied to everybody, saying that we killed an officer that day. They wanted you to they had to make you believe the lie. And still you did nothing. You sat down and you expected that somebody else was going to do the heavy lifting for you. I've said it once, I've said it again, I'll say it again. Your individual rights are yours to defend, no one else's. So you can bitch and moan all you want, but until you stand, you're all bullshit. I don't care what the fuck you have to say. I know scientifically 80% of you will do exactly as you're told. We saw that, right, Jess? We saw that happen. Everybody got that shot.
I was shocked how many people put on the mask. I was shocked how many people made excuses about why they had to take the jab when they didn't have to take the jab. I know people in the government who never took the jab. They just jumped through their little hoops. They made it difficult. But some people couldn't even handle that little bit of difficulty or inconvenience of like, well, then we're going to fucking swab your mouth every day. And like, I know people that were like, fine, swab my mouth every day. Fuck your jab. And like,
I'm not
look
doing
at what is out today. The fibrous clots that the embalmers are finding are now growing in increasing. It hasn't slowed down.
Well, take a look at Australia. Did you see what they just did? Jess, did you see what Australia just said?
The digital ID for porn?
No, the explosion of cancer between 30 and 40-year-olds, and it's unexplained. They don't know where it came from. Yeah. Scientists are perplexed.
No idea. That's weird. I'm not a scientist. I know
where it came from. Yeah. I'm gonna take a guess. If I could bet on that, if there was a betting system that I could bet on all of these political things like that, you know, how many people are going to die based on, I would bet on that shit because I'd win. I know the facts. I know how many people are going to die. It's clear. Before we went to break, I kind of teased an EMP, and I saw the comments going crazy that I was insane. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you something about me. Just because I say something doesn't mean that's where I'm going. What I'm going to utilize is information from the EMP Commission. What they said would happen in the event that an EMP happened. Now, an EMP is an electromagnetic pulse that's caused by nuclear weapon being fired in the atmosphere.
It can be a solar flare or a nuclear event. They're two different forms, but it's the same thing.
Same thing. And what they said, this is back, I think this is interesting. They studied this from 2004 to 2008. And then they studied it again from 2017 to 2018. And in their conclusions, I'll just read what they came back with. Oak Ridge National Lab, along with the EMP Commission, agreed and paint a horrifying picture of how a high-altitude EMP or similar event, that's important to pay attention to, right? That's what I do. I pay attention to words because they mean things, right? The reason you put a but in there when you're saying something is I like everything but because you want to make everybody understand exactly what you mean. You don't want mayo on your sandwich. I want everything but mayo. Okay, we got it. That's why you put the but in there. That's what this is. Same exact thing. How a high-altitude EMP or similar event could shut down the grid for months to years, leading to, and this is the number you should pay attention to, 70 to 90% of the U.S. population, 210 to 270 million people, dying within the first year. Now, how do you have an immediate reset and get right back to business? This is how you do it,
folks. Off in certain areas, leave it on in other areas where you want the people to go. It would be that fucking simple, and they would do it almost that day.
And here, let me jump in there because you're absolutely right. But they wouldn't. I mean, they would wait a while, right? They would wait that first 3 or 4 days, and then when they realize that there's nothing in the stores, their water has been turned off, they're not getting any fresh water, they can't flush their toilet, they can't take a bath, they can't take a shower, but they've heard that if they walk 15 to 20 to 30 to 100 miles away, there's a city that is accepting them. They've got food, they've got water, they've got hot showers, and so on. All you have to do to gain entry into these new city-states, the 15-minute cities that they have planned for you,
is
give up your firearms
at the gate. Leave your Bill of Rights at the gate. Leave the
exactly. That's it. Folks, it's not that hard to understand. This is the plan. Now, when's it going to happen? I don't know. But based on the numbers, 18 to 36 months. I have never given hard numbers on any prediction that I've ever made. The reason I'm giving hard numbers is because these are financial numbers. No nation has ever survived past 250% of GDP. The United States is currently at 350. We're never paying that money back. It's never getting paid back. They've built an entire new system to go to, and that's what they're going to, regardless of whether you want it or not. Regardless of whether Trump is president or not. Regardless if there's Republicans or Democrats. Doesn't matter. That's what tonight's broadcast is all about. Jess, don't you see the writing on the wall? They've told us time and time again exactly what they're going to do.
Well, they don't hide it. They don't hide it. They throw it right in our face time and time again. And it is this single thing that still carries through of this zero accountability for even the smallest infraction by any of them. We can't even get the low-level people that are lying. And that's how you see they push right up until like people might push back, and then they will back off and they will push a little farther. That's why you never know what their timeline is. Like, look how they pushed us with Corona, right? They pushed on that jab right up until everybody who was going to take it just kind of took it, and everybody who wasn't, that they realized it didn't matter. So then they just gave up on that plan because it couldn't accomplish everybody.
Yep.
But then they come back with it. They're making a whole new media push again for the jab all over again. And it's like, I can't even grasp that. I can't even grasp how people with the information that's out there right now that take more of it, even when you saw your loved ones die.
Those are the self-virtuous. Those are the virtuous people that take it because it makes them feel better as a human being that they're taking something that saves other humans' lives.
I haven't spoken to a single person that I've asked, like, do you know somebody who got jab and then was dead shortly thereafter? Like, maybe days, maybe a week, but a perfectly healthy person, and their heart exploded. It's all the same story. Their fucking heart just stopped, and they just fell over dead. My buddy fell off his toilet, and it's just.
Well, my dad died 3 weeks after his booster.
Yeah,
I went to go see him. I was working at a political campaign out in Nevada, and I went to go see him right before he died, 3 weeks before he died, and it wasn't my dad. He was that was a shell of a man. My dad would make me look like a pussy. I mean, my dad was 6'3", or 6'1". He was 6'1", and was a man's man. Right? I mean, when you look at the old yearbooks from the 1960s, those guys look like full-grown men at 18. Yeah. That was what my dad was. Right? He had a 5 o'clock shadow in 4th grade. The reason we've talked about what we've talked about tonight is because we think that it's important for the American people to start understanding that they're being played on all levels.
We have a unique opportunity here to be able to push back. This doesn't have to happen, right? And it's when you often throw their plans out in their face, it does derail them. We do win. We're not Britain, are we? Look at how the other countries have gotten. Yes, exactly. We need to take that lesson. There's something to learn from everyone, and especially when it is what not to fucking do.
Yep.
And like Canada, what not to do. Britain, what not to do. What should we do right now? Not that. The opposite of that. And like, decouple yourself. Get out of the matrix. Do not feed the beast. Do not feed the beast. Stop paying loans. Stop putting yourself in debt. Debt is what feeds this beast. It's all of that interest loan money and that whole system. That's what's buying the politicians. The corporations are buying the politicians. If you stop feeding the corporations, they don't have the money to feed the politicians.
Well, think about it, Jess. Think about it. I want you to understand all the little things that I look at that come into the system of how they're going to control us. Right?
Yeah.
This is what I really dive into. It's the little things that they said or the little things that they've done. I mean, think about it. Just a few months ago, or 2 years ago, the Biden administration was wanting to make sure that you couldn't have a gas stove in your home. Only electric. Why? Well, they can turn that on and off.
Yeah.
right? They wanted to know if you had a garden in your backyard and how big it was. Why? Because you could feed yourself. There's no reason for the federal government to know if Granny's got a little tomato garden in the backyard, but they wanted to know. Why? Well, it's because they want to track the people in this country most likely to defend themselves. Let me see if we got a caller here. Let's see if this works. We're going to see if this works. Go ahead, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, I got to put you on speaker. There we go. There we go. Go ahead.
So it's CJ. I was just chatting a little bit. I just started following Jess not too long ago. I agree with a lot of stuff you guys are saying. I messaged you, sir, the other day that I was just going to mention like 60 seconds of just stuff I'm dealing with. Is that okay?
Is it personal or is it political?
It's political.
Okay, well, go ahead. Go ahead. And by the way, for anybody else, our system is cheap here, so don't call in until until CJ's done. Otherwise, it beeps like this. So go ahead, Jess.
I'll try and be quick here.
Okay, I'm sorry, CJ.
I live next door to a Supreme Court judge. I can't mention any names, forgive me. Me and my family are dealing with the wildest stuff imaginable. One thing is I witnessed some cases in our home, and then my family falling ill to a rare thyroid cancer. Trying to get justice. I'm having to represent myself against the Attorney General. For the day of November 4th, here in Pennsylvania, it was a Republican rally against Josh Shapiro. He was previously the Attorney General. I told him like a light version of my situation, and his staff just giggled at me. I reached out to Trump. I'm not sure if you got my letter. I was hoping that he would look into my situation because I barely gave you anything. And we live next door to a Supreme Court judge, and I have physical evidence of like everything I mentioned. And it would make the Democrats look pretty shitty, but I'm getting no support. And I have a friend who's a federal detective, so the feds know. But I've been given zero assistance, zero course of action, and I've been denied life-saving medical attention. Had the virus, got bit by a tick, ruptured my stomach.
Man, you have had a rough row, CJ. I got to tell you, buddy. You're the trials of Job.
I'm staying positive, and cross your fingers for me, okay?
I appreciate it. Do you have a question for either I or Jess?
Stay strong, and hopefully all this, like I've seen on here, like I have a feeling like half these people have bad intentions. Like there's a gentleman I met that, I was looking for assistance. I'm like, hey, it's corrupt as hell out here. What do I do? To find out that he's like something dark, which is just completely the opposite of anything anyone would expect. But that being said, don't dox yourself. What I can understand from a lot of people is if they keep to themselves and just hope for the best, maybe it won't affect them. I highly doubt it. But also for the people in office that are going along with this bullshit, thinking they're going to get like some free pass from corruption, like their future families will just be spared. Retarded. All right, take care, guys.
I appreciate it, man. He used Tim's new name. Tim Smalls there. Hi, welcome to the show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Linda Raimondo, and I'm calling from Michigan.
What can we help you with? What's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to ask you, when you talk about don't feed the system, how do you suppose you don't feed the system, like when you stop paying taxes and stop paying on an outstanding credit card or loan or whatever it may be? When they come knocking at your door, then what?
Well, the issue is here that the system's going to collapse anyway. And my suggestion is to stop paying taxes. The debts that I have, right? The debts that I have, I feel that I owe those to those people, regardless of who it is, whether it be J.P. Morgan Chase or the babysitter who, watched my grandchildren for the weekend, right? So what I'm looking at is as a protest no different than the Tea Party, right? What they fucked with was the people's money. They fucked with the enemy's money. And the only thing that shows, or the only weapon that we have against these people are our earnings, because that's what they're most interested in. They don't want us they want us for our vote, and as soon as they get their vote, they're done with us. They don't do what we want. They don't deliver what we want. They work for everybody else. So stop paying them. Stop paying them. Now, somebody asked me, they go, well, what happens when, to your point, when somebody comes and knocks on the door, right? Well, if you've got 500,000 to 3 million to 5 million to 10 million people doing this all of a sudden, that is not an issue. They're going to be so hit all of a sudden. Now, I will say this. The other protest that's coming, and my wife and I have already decided to do it just because we're not going to pay it, is that I was off work for the last 4 years. I didn't work. I've always been self-employed, and so we had a lot of money. We were just living on that. And when we during that period, we tried to find the cheapest insurance possible. So we went on Obamacare, the marketplace.
Right.
That went from $467 a month to over $1,800 a month. We're done with insurance. We're not doing it anymore. I'm done. The medical industry is about to die in this nation because of people just like us. Jess, what are you doing? You're not on insurance, are you?
Fuck no. Fuck no. And that's what I mean. Like, pull yourself out of the system and don't feed the beast. Like, don't.
No, he's not on insurance. I'm not in front of the TV, so I can't see his face. But then what happens? Okay, I agree. It's all a racket. It's a scam. Car insurance, health insurance, all insurance. And I don't want to pay my insurance either, but I am paying a low premium of $237 a month. Okay?
Well, my whole thing is pay for all the things that you want. Pay for all the things that you're going to use. Just stop paying the government. That's the only thing that we can do. All the other things we owe. I'm sorry, say that again?
Okay, but, I don't even use my health insurance, but it's like, but you need something if it's catastrophic, right? If something happens.
Really?
You need some type of coverage.
Really?
Well,
if you're an illegal alien, it doesn't matter. Why would it matter for me, an American citizen? You're telling me that the American government will pick up the tab for an illegal before it'll pick it up for a poor American citizen?
And
right,
that's the other thing.
Okay, so basically, I work independently. I do freelance work. They don't take taxes out. So, we've been good citizens for years, and then you pay the taxes. I've been saying this to people, stop paying taxes. But you know what, everybody's like, oh, we got to pay it. So how do we get people on board, so when they do come knocking out the door, if they do, it's like you'll just shut the door in their face.
Jess, walk them through that, how neighbors protect neighbors. So you can't be the only one on your block that's doing this. You got to have other people.
Unfortunately, yeah, you know what? When you live outside of, a metropolitan area and a, community where it's more liberal-minded, yeah. I mean, you know what? We're kind of the odd man out.
Yep. The farther you are out, the more they'll leave you alone initially. You're not on there. They don't want to travel to you if they don't have to, right?
Yeah, no, and I get that, but you know what? I guess I've got to get my better half, my husband, on that same thought process. So it's not.
I'd recommend that.
The thing you mentioned on
go ahead,
your
Jess.
Insurance. The thing you mentioned on your insurance. But what if something happens? What if something's catastrophic? How many times have you heard?
Oh, you can't hear him? Hold on a second. Here, let me hold on a second here, Jess. Go ahead and talk for me, bud.
How many times have you heard somebody who has something catastrophic and then insurance doesn't cover it anyway, and they're still in the same boat? That's the only story I've ever heard, and I've always been like, well, then why would you pay it in the first place? Like, and a lot of people don't even know. Like, if you go to the hospital, and make an appointment, and you tell them, no, I want the non-insurance cost.
Yep.
It's like 1/3 the price because that's the fucking racket, dude.
Yep.
They always leave a loophole out for everything, for themselves. And all you have to do is know about it.
Yep. Well, and take advantage of it.
If you're not using it, dear God, get out of it.
Yeah.
Let me.
Well, and I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, but it's challenging when you're in a marriage where the two parties we're on the same page for a lot of things, but not all things. But
yes.
I don't even use my insurance, and I'm paying for it. So what's the point?
Yep.
But I feel like, I'm supposed to have it if I break a bone. I got to get my bone fixed.
Well, here's the thing. If you break a bone, I'll give you an example. If I was going to go get an MRI for my neck, $4,500. $4,500 to go get an MRI. But if I went to the MRI place on my own with a prescription, $800. Right?
Ridiculous.
So that process,
Yeah.
well, take a look at this. The thing that we should really look at here and understand is that the TV industry has made TVs cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and bigger and bigger and bigger my entire life for one simple reason. The federal government is not involved in making TVs cheap. Right? So what's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, go ahead.
It's a call drop.
Yeah, go ahead. Did you have any more questions?
Oh, no, I didn't know if we were just wrapping it up or whatever. You were just, I don't know, you were talking. But I guess basically, to summarize it, just stop paying, do what you want to do, go get out in a community that's better suited for you, and more people we talk about it too, we get more on board.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And now I am going to hang up on you. We'll go to the next caller. The issue, Jess, is that, and I think that this is what we're talking about here, is that, and I hate to say it that way, but is the 80%, right? Those 80% that will find a reason not to stand up. Now, I'm not saying that she's one of them. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of Americans that will find a reason, I've got to pay my taxes, I'll get in trouble. Our patriots, our founding fathers, that's how this nation was formed. Fuck you, we ain't doing that.
Exactly.
Right? Got another caller, let's see who this is. Hello, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Steve Smith.
Steve, how are you doing? Steve Smith, that sounds like a generic made-up name to me, but go ahead.
Guess what? Plausible enough. Yeah, I'm the most common man out here. I just want to tell you guys a word of encouragement. I'm glad y'all got together. Because,
I appreciate that.
I can already sense Jess after doing all of his cow videos. Tell Ron hi, by the way, Jess.
Will do, buddy.
That you guys actually understand what the hell's going on. And I wanted to give you a piece on that AI. That I work for a corporation. I'm part of the, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Now, I was going to tell you, as far as the AI goes, hopefully there's going to be a lot of speed bumps along that way of getting to that ESG bullshit, right? They actually, and I work for a power company that had an issue with cloud environments, in particular an AWS environment, and you guys already know what happened to them.
Yep.
That they had a network issue that took down a lot of the eastern province of the U.S. because of a glitch.
Really?
And it affected, it was about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. Well, guess what? We've got pretty much all of our IT environment in the cloud at this point, and outsourced the data centers. It's either in Ashburn, Virginia, I think it is, or Atlanta, Georgia. And guess what? Both of those are in the east, right?
Yep.
Southeast, to be exact. And they got the bigger powers, not me. I don't get paid enough for some of the stuff I do, but it's got them looking at it, I'm sure, going, was this a good idea, right? So at least they're questioning their decision at the chief level that this may not be ready for prime time yet. However, guess what? A whole freaking level of workers, the developers, right? AI is pretty good. I mean, you can wipe out that whole layer of application developers.
Oh, it's gone.
Just based off of...
app development, programming, developing. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, 100%.
Exactly. So you can shift labor in directions, but do I see them with these massive data centers, even with EVs, that whole EV push? They weren't going to be able to power enough freaking Tesla.
Well, Steve, I'm going to jump back in on you there, and I don't think you know what you're talking about. You know why? You don't want to say that crass? Because you're not thinking about the world they have planned. You're not part of it. I'm not part of it. They want 90% of us dead. Right. The Georgia Guidestones, ruin stones rather, were very clear in that they wanted somewhere in the ballparks of 500 million people left on the earth. That's it. Totally. Everywhere. So in the next segment, what we're going to do, Steve, is we're actually going to break down what these city-states are and how they'll work and why what they've done and what they've promised is coming to fruition. But we're being told that it's something good for us. It's not. It's anything but. We'll talk about that next.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation.
and around the globe.
You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
They lied about it. They tried to hide it.
It was 100% unconstitutional. That's what we were saying in 2024.
I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone.
And today the NLPC has been vindicated by Senator Grassley's document dump, revealing Jack Smith illegally and unconstitutionally spied on American citizens.
Jack Smith spied on members of the United States Senate. What is this, East Germany?
Grassley's document dump has revealed that Jack Smith's team illegally seized call logs from Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Josh Hawley in the unconstitutional 2023 Arctic Frost Probe.
From the outset, we said Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. A federal judge vindicated that view. Now we see the connection between unconstitutional prosecutions and illegal evidence gathering.
The NLPC has been on top of this story from the beginning. Follow or subscribe to the NLPC on this platform for more. Or visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. My special guest tonight is Jess. Jess, welcome back to the show. Hopefully he's sitting there. Yeah, there we go. Make sure everybody's back. What I want to walk through here, Jess, and I want you to be a big part of this here, because this is where I think that you've really honed in on all these systems. One of the reasons that I really like your content, mine is more snarky, pointing things out in a funny way and trying to be, smart about it. Yours is a little bit more direct, but I think at the end of it, we're both telling people the same thing, that they got to start being the defenders of their individual freedom. So moving forward, let's say that the event that we're looking at, that they do exactly what I'm thinking they're going to do, and they shut down the power in certain regions of the country to move people where they want them. I also think that they'll utilize issues between, whether that be, I don't know, if the food's out and the water's out, there'll probably be roaming gangs. And if you go through certain areas, you're going to have to deal, with the illegals. Others are going to be the radical Muslims. And then you've got everybody else. The first two concern me enough, but I'll tell you. So kind of walk me through what your vision is, a post-shutdown where they just say, hey, listen, there's a problem with the grid. China attacked us. It's all gone down. Start marching toward this city. What do you think will happen?
A mass exodus, like you said, 80%. I mean, a lot of people will just go immediately. And then whoever's left out to the fucking, the Netherlands, it'll be like Judge Dredd. Right?
Well, it explains why Zuckerberg is building a mansion, a fortress, right, in Hawaii.
And bunkers. Yeah, they're all building fortresses and bunkers on islands.
Yep. And I'm interested to see, I don't know if you saw, I look at everything a little bit differently. Barack Obama's fortress in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Have you looked at that as a military, something that you would have to go and attack and win against? That building doesn't have any lower level windows. It doesn't have any lower level doors. It is meant for being hard to enter. I'd be very interested to see the thickness of those concrete walls that they've built.
There's no way that thing's a library.
No.
That thing's some kind of eye of Sauron. That's what that fucking thing is, like literally.
Well, for the people who are asking, what happens next? This is the path, folks. They've told us what the path is. They're not going to put up with Americans. They're not going to worry about you and your rights, and they're definitely not concerned about your Second Amendment rights. They couldn't give two shits. They don't care about your First Amendment rights. They don't care about your Constitution. They don't care about your culture. They're going to do what they're going to do. They are marching forward slowly. Regardless of who's in office, regardless of who's president, their mission continues. Their end game continues. So let me walk you through how what I think is going to happen is going to happen. These 15-minute cities are not 15-minute cities in my mind. Right after they come back from the year of darkness, they start rebuilding the George Jetson future that they have the technology to do right now. Jess, what's your knowledge on some of that dark knowledge out of Skunk Works and all that kind of stuff? Do you think that they already have that available and they're just holding it back? Do you think that all those works that Tesla did, do you think they're just holding that information back for themselves?
There's Navy patents for anti-gravitic tech from 1952. That's how old this stuff is. They've held everything back. Nothing has progressed since 1950. Eisenhower was right when he said, beware of the military-industrial complex. Dude, it was already too late then. They had it all. And none of our technology has progressed. Look, we're still driving the same gasoline or diesel engine cars. Planes haven't gotten faster. They've gotten slower. They haven't allowed us anything. They have kept all of that technology.
But they are more efficient.
Yeah.
The planes are more efficient, right? That's what we're told. That's what the trade-off is.
Barely
a trade-off.
Barely. Like, a 1961 Ford Falcon got like 30 miles the gallon. Like,
I don't know that. I had a Falcon, and I don't know if it ever got that kind of mileage. Maybe
that
12.
170. That 170 gets 25.
Go downhill.
You can't go 50 fucking miles an hour, but it will get 50. These cars existed. They haven't gotten, nothing's gotten better. They've put, and the little bells and whistles aren't even bells and whistles. They're just tracking and control devices.
Yep.
Like, I would never drive anything after 2012. Everything after 2012 is fly-by-wire. They can fucking OnStar you right into a fucking tree. And they do it to people all the fucking time.
Well, and that's the thing that I don't think people understand what's going on. If you go to social media, there are two dudes right now that are supposedly two ex-CIA agents that are telling you all the secrets. How the sauce is made. Folks, that doesn't happen. They do not allow that to happen. So the fact that these guys, former CIA, are coming out and telling you shit is because they want you to know that shit. And one of the things the guy said the other day is, do we have hitmen in the CIA? Actually, we do. And there's a list that goes out. What day is that, Jess?
It's the Tuesday morning hit list. Yeah. They literally have a meeting every Tuesday morning. And it's like Brennan started that under Obama, a Tuesday morning kill list. And they would just show up, here's the people we want to kill this week. And then they would fucking meet. And next Tuesday, they would be like, to get everybody up, here's a new one. And they just did every fucking Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, they got to list a group of people. Well, they've got to at least meet to find out if they've got any work that next week, right? they got to find out. Yeah, who's going to die? Now, here's the question I have to ask. We're led to believe that the CIA only does that, outside the country. Do you think that's the case?
Fuck no. Fuck no. Like, I don't know who caught Candace's shit tonight, but she just lit their dicks on fire. Like, everybody needs to understand that it's not just Candace's investigation. Once again, this is that revolution of information. This is the whole world's investigation. Somebody who was just watching a 35-year-old military person happen to just, by happenstance, stumble into a meeting with 12 E5 and E6 colonels with Charlie's security dude that went on Sean Ryan, that just lied through his teeth, that just looked like a fucking CIA narc that was just given the dumbest fucking answers. Like, the whole military is not just our military. All these militaries work together. They are the ones who are in control. And it's just, that's what it is. This deep compartmentalized nature of the military that is set up perfectly in that command structure. And time again, that's why militaries are always part of some coup. They always have more power. It's the Praetorian Guard, right?
Yep.
And that's running. Well, if you haven't
watched well, I was going to say, if you haven't watched the Netflix special, it's called The Octopus Murders. If you watch that documentary, it's phenomenal because what it showcases to the American people is how our system actually works. There's a gentleman in the show who has worked for the intelligence community for years. He's being deposed. And he looks around at the room, the most arrogant man, good looking by the way, he looks around the room arrogantly at everybody and said, I was guaranteed that if I did the work I was to do for my nation, I would never, ever be deposed. 3 weeks later, he was dead.
Yeah.
That's how the system works. If you don't think that's how it works, then what was that dude? The dude that was with the Clintons that shot himself twice?
Oh my God. Right? In the back?
Then hung himself. Shot himself with a shotgun twice and then hung himself. How does that happen? Folks, it doesn't happen.
There was one here in South Dakota even with the ethanol plant and Chinese investors. And somehow there was fucking that same Clinton name. That dude hung himself in a tree in a field and shot himself in the chest with a shotgun. A fucking 12 gauge Browning, which you can't fucking reach because of length. And they leave it right there. And they're just like, aha. Right. And the sheriff at first, he was like, somebody killed this guy. And then all of a sudden the next day, he's like, oh, it was suicide. Because they just come in and look at, God,
look at Charlie Kirk. Look at what happened with Charlie Kirk and how fast that got covered up and how fast it got silenced. There is nothing in the news.
They just ignore it.
Yep, like it didn't happen. But George Floyd, we heard about for a year. The drug addict who OD'd while in police custody. He was in police custody because he was writing bad checks. OD'd. It's been confirmed. The police had nothing to do with it. Chauvin should be out of jail. He's a political prisoner. That's what they do in this nation.
Yes, they punish the truth tellers and the liars are rewarded. Yep. It's always these. God, dude, if you know anybody in the government, like they only promote the failures. The failures just fail up.
DEI.
That's literally what happened.
It's DEI before DEI was DEI. That's how government has always been. They're always the weakest people. They are that 80% that will do anything, right, as long as they have power.
And they want them up there.
Yep.
And the people that even know better, like I got a buddy in government, and he'll tell me like they had to promote this guy. He was causing so much problems because he was such a fuck up. He was just fucking shit up all the time. So they promoted him so they didn't have to deal with him because they couldn't fire him.
That's how it works.
They're like, you can't fire him, so just promote him.
That's what the Catholic Church does. That's what the Christian churches do. They're big groups. They got a problem pastor or choir leader or whatever, or a priest. They just move them around. They never say anything. Folks, we live in a time where there's no accountability. Nobody wants to be held accountable. I gave my boys the advice when they were young. I said, listen, when you're dating a girl, start having the conversation about what would happen if you got knocked up. And they wanted to know why. I said, it's important to know what they're going to do, especially the older you get. You see, a woman who will justify murdering her own child for her convenience will never take accountability.
She will fucking leave you at the fucking first sign of fucking trouble. Yeah.
She will make you miserable, right? Because she can never take accountability. For herself, never. She'll blame you and everybody else for everything. One of my sons married one of those. I'm not going to say which one. They'll have to guess. They know. Okay, so here's my thoughts on this city-state issue. the more I thought about everything that they had told us over the last 4 or 5 years, that we'll own nothing and be happy, Jess, I kept going to back, how are they going to make the American people do it? I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do that bullshit. I'm a citizen. I'm not a subject. I've got guns. I've got rights. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. When this EMP Commission report just happened to appear in my mailbox one day, and this guy goes, don't read everything, just read what's in parentheses. And that's when it made sense. It all made sense. Everything that they've done has been a march to this point. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter who's Congress. In Congress, it doesn't matter who's in the Senate. They're going to do what they're going to do. They are bullies on the playground. Bullies operate a very specific way. They do whatever the fuck they want to do when they do it. Now, to those of you who are naive to believe that if you step out of line, they'll use that as an excuse, they don't need an excuse. They're the bully. They already know what they're going to do. Now, here's the thing that most people don't understand that I do about bullies. I've hated bullies my entire life. My dad was a bully. My mom was a bully. That's how I was raised in my home. Love them to death, but I've come to find out they were bullies. Taught me a lot of valuable lessons. The number one is about bullying. The first thing a bully does is the bully always makes you the problem and them the victim. It doesn't matter what they did to you. Why'd you make me hit you? This is exactly what they're going through right now, folks. They're doing what the bully does. What they want you to do is do as they say, sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and don't be a problem. Now, when this all happens, initially, those people that are in the outlying areas that are, just living their life, living off the land, making the best, they're not going to come messing with them. Not initially. But as soon as there's a big group of those people out in the field, Jess, don't you think that if they see a big heat signature off to the west of 10 to 15,000 people living in peace, they can't allow that to happen?
No, that's... Dude, what is that show? I forget the name of it. The one where they literally turned the power off. And they did. They created their city-states with their higher technology, and they ignored all the other people. Like, a lot of them went back to 1800s life, lived without and got it done. And then it wasn't until they had the rest of their shit together that then they came out of their walls and started enslaving people and killing anybody that was self-sufficient. Yeah, they would just leave you alone. If you're not coming for them, then you're not a threat. But as soon as you are a group or a leader, and that's that evil part right there of like why they let us speak so freely now. That's very confusing to me, right?
I know why.
Why all of a sudden did they turn the fucking switch off and they're letting us talk when they didn't do that before? What the fuck is up with that? And then it's like, holy shit, dude. You just let the leaders rise up to the surface. You let them speak, and we're all telling them right now. I'm like, right? Well, the leaders are out there. We're marking ourselves.
Well, we were marked 4 years ago. They knew exactly who the problem was going to be. They've just been tracking it and confirming it. The fact that I have on TikTok these days, right? 100%. I mean, Jess, the thing is that they're doing exactly what you said. The question I asked you when we first spoke is, I said, hey, listen, do you think it's possible that Elon Musk and these groups opened up free speech just to identify the loudest voices and let us rise to the top and then just pick us off one by one? Is that possible? Well, all things are possible, right?
Yeah, they're that diabolical. See, but that's how great they are at. Very few people would have to understand that. Elon Musk might not even understand that, right? He doesn't have to. If he just thinks it's for free speech, then it's for free speech. Because if you don't know that they're actually making a list and checking it twice, which we all know they love to make lists, and they're all planning on getting back in power. And I think
when we say back in power, what we mean is back in power from 1938, right? This is the same group of people.
Yeah, these are These are the communists. They're the same Bolsheviks that crashed Russia, and that is the most important piece of history to look at, is the overthrow of the Russian czars, and just how much this weird obsession with these fucking 13 families and Russia, and why they fucking hate them. For no fuck off reason. early on in Americans' history, when we were free of the 13 families, we were allies with Russia.
Right,
Russia
exactly.
assisted us in the Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah.
And once we got a central bank, guess what happened?
Now
Russia was the enemy.
you got to be enemies with Russia.
And why, Jess? Why do we have to be enemies with Russia?
Because Russia doesn't have a central bank. Because they don't play the fucking game.
Yep. Russia makes their own money. They make their own currency. There's no debt on their currency. Folks, I'm not pro-Russia. I'm just saying that what they're doing is better than what we're doing with the money we're paying.
The facts. The facts.
Right. They are what they are. You know, and I said the other day, I made a video where I put, what's his name? I knew it was going to... who's the dude that's the Nazi? Nick Fuentes, right? I didn't mean to say it that way. I had to run it through my brain so I could hear everybody else saying that. I didn't mean that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is what everybody else said. Right? So
I don't think anybody even takes that shit as offense anymore. That's like a fucking badge of honor.
Well, true. My mic, if it's rustling, let me know, because it's not hanging right. I played a Nick Fuentes piece, and people got pissed off about it. Now, here's the thing, folks. I'm an American citizen. Fuck yourself. I will listen to anybody I want to and take any message or any learning or piece of education or knowledge I can from anybody. I don't care who the fuck they are. Would you do it from Hitler? Yeah, if Hitler came downstairs and said, hey, listen, I think your car's on fire, yeah, I'd go outside and check my fucking car. You'd have to be a moron not to. These stupid fucking questions people ask to make themselves seem more virtuous. Right? That's how the bully works. That's the process.
No, and one of the best things you can do for yourself is never throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right. I don't have to agree with everybody on everything to get good information and good points of view. Like people are always asking me like, oh, where do you find all this? I listen to everybody and everything. And especially when the establishment says, oh, this guy's such a piece of shit, and they just call him names. I'm like, oh, I better go.
I gotta go. I'm looking for that guy's name.
That motherfucker said some shit right there. That's his suit. That's how you find Nick Fuentes and Candace and Tucker and all these people. And every time, like a banned account, like if fucking that's what I know Kramer from until I followed Kramer forever, especially during the pandemic, because it was like, holy shit, I just followed you. Like, I remember I messaged you like way back. I was like, dude, that's got to be like 48 accounts. And you were like 51. And I was like, fucking, you got a goddamn trophy. You get a goddamn trophy for that shit.
I'm tenacious. I'm an American citizen. Nobody's going to tell me what to do or say or what I can and can't say, let alone a Chinese app. Until they make it unavailable where I can't get on, I'm going to go fuck with them. That's what I do. I'm a bully too. See, that's the thing that most people don't know about me. I'm a bully. I'm a bully. I have bullied my way through my entire life. I'm a bully. You ask anybody, I'm a bull in a china shop. But I'm a benevolent bully, right? I don't beat people up. I come protect people. And I'm the first guy to start yelling and screaming when there's an issue. You know, when nobody else has the balls to do it, I'm the guy that says, hey, something's got to be done. Why? Because I have a self-interest in self-preservation. I'm sure you do too, Jess. Are you the same way?
The way men were raised. We're from that later generation. Me and you come from that, you know, after talking to you. You know, I'm raised in South Dakota on a farm. Like, we're a full fucking 50 years behind all of you. I don't know if you're fucking aware, but like, that's literally how that fucking works. Like, I didn't even fucking watch TV growing up. Like, my wife always asked me about sitcoms. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
Well, that's a weird thing. I didn't either. I didn't know that about you. Yeah, I didn't either. My dad was a minister, and the TV was sin. We didn't have one in the house. I read. That's all I had to do.
We were never. There was a black and white TV. Even when I was in high school, like, we had the small black and white TV. But yeah, no.
Yeah, I didn't. I caught up on all the shows that all the kids watched, you know, when I was a kid. I did that later on in life. I got to a point where my dad told me one time, he goes, I was watching TV at somebody's house, and he goes, you know what? He says, you'll never make a life out of doing what you're doing right now. And oddly, that's exactly what I've done. Yeah. I invited him into my studio one time. I said, Dad, I said, you know what I've done? Exactly what you said I couldn't do. He goes, what's that? Watching TV all day. I'm here. Hey, I'm going to take another break here. When we come back, let's wrap this up with what the big picture is. Hopefully, Jess, you'll stick with me for this next segment, and we can break out exactly what I think is going to happen and how we started, what's going to happen, and the timeline. I've given you 18 to 36 months. It gets tighter in some areas. We'll talk about that next.
The CramerSez Project will return
after this important message.
Introducing Tusk.
With Tusk, you get uncensored news and secure browsing,
all while protecting your privacy.
Choose the news you trust and take control of your internet.
Join the free speech revolution with Tusk.
Download Tusk today at tuskbrowser.com.
Did you know the Biden administration gave your tax dollars to illegal aliens so they could afford to lobby Congress to go easy on illegal immigration?
That's not the way I'd put it, but it's basically accurate.
New questions are swirling around a Soros-funded nonprofit that claims to support immigrant rights, but may be violating federal tax law. Alianza Americas received millions of taxpayer dollars from the Biden administration. Now the group stands accused of using those funds to lobby Congress to expand protections for illegal immigrants.
Well, we caught them. The name of the group is Alianza Americas, and it's an open borders group. They were illegally lobbying Congress, trying to protect illegal aliens from having to leave the country under something called temporary protected status. They received taxpayer money, millions of dollars from the Department of Health and Human Services. They also receive quite a lot of money from the Open Society Foundations. That's George Soros's foundations. Over the last couple weeks, they've been pouring kerosene on the flames out in Los Angeles, calling President Trump an authoritarian and alleging that the law enforcement personnel have been engaged in violent attacks on peaceful protesters, when we know it's quite the opposite. This group has broken the law. On their annual tax return, they say they never lobbied Congress, but we know that they have. We have the proof, and we've presented it to the Internal Revenue Service, and we hope and believe the IRS should act on them and review the tax status of this open borders group.
It's for these reasons the National Legal and Policy Center has filed 2 complaints with the IRS, alleging the group broke the rules that govern tax-exempt status and should, for that reason, lose all taxpayer funding. So, what are your thoughts? Do you really want your tax dollars handed over to illegals so they can afford to lobby your elected officials? You know, to be more lenient when it comes to their illegal immigration status?
I wouldn't have put it exactly that way, but unfortunately, it is accurate.
Let us know what you think in the comments, and visit nlpc.org for more information on this story and more.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Woo, what a night. My special guest, Jess, we'll get back to him in just a moment. For those of you who are just getting to know the CramerSez Project, we're looking at doing something a little bit different. We want to move to a grassroots news service. We're looking for Americans to help us do that. Now, I'm not asking for money. I don't want that. We don't need that right now. What we need is talent. If you're a media person, if you're a DJ, a videographer, somebody who works in the media services that wants to help us start getting this message out on a bigger scale and so on, we'd love to have you on board. It's grassroots. We're not making any money. We're not monetizing. We just want you to come in and help us out and get this message started. Well, the things that we're talking about tonight are important issues. Now, some of them probably pissed you off, maybe made you think, but that's what we're supposed to do. If you're upset with what we said and you go check out that it's right, which it is, what you'll find is that you'll want to come back. Why? Because we keep telling the truth. That was the whole thing that Jess and I were talking about earlier, is that one of the things during COVID that I did on a regular basis was tell the truth. Here's what's going on in Gibraltar. Here's what's going on in Israel. Here's what's going on in Great Britain. What they're telling us here in the U.S. is bullshit. And for that, I've had to burn through 128 TikTok accounts. I'm on 128th now. I don't even use my my icon anymore. I'm done doing that. They burn through so quick. So, Jess, this end world that they have planned for us, is there anything from your vantage point that you can see where they're not delivering on the threat that they made back in 2020 when Klaus Schwab put that book out?
Have they anything they haven't delivered on? No, like they do that slow burn. Like, obviously, Trump has held them up. We have held them up with that resistance. They know they can't push you too far. They walk you right up to the edge. And then if there is any amount of resistance, they seem to back off a little bit. But now they're going to stir up whatever hatred against Donald Trump. They're using that to destroy and demoralize a lot of people. Like they're demoralizing everybody who voted for him right now by preventing any accountability for whatever they've set him up for that. And why I can't answer that. It makes no sense because
I think it does. And here's what I'm looking at is Trump is not going to survive his presidency. They can't allow him to continue doing what he's doing on a daily basis. No. If you don't try to assassinate people that you don't want in,
definitely.
Right. You get that. You don't try to assassinate people that aren't a threat. You don't silence the liar. Right? You silence the guy who's telling the truth that could make you be held accountable. And so that's what we've seen over the last 5 years in particular. One of the things that we've got going on, we didn't even talk about this, and I should go find the link. It's up on what's the petition site for returning the Smith Modernization Act, reversing it to its 1948 power, where these fuckers can't lie to us. Thoughts?
You think that'd be like the number one thing that needs to be done? And let me say, like, I have loved Trump since 2015. No one wants Trump to succeed more than me. And it's that initial. It has to be. This is our only shot. This is it.
Yep. I agree.
It's now or never. And like and there is still that opportunity that he could pull this out. There could be some fucking miracle moment and he fucking has this come to Jesus moment and fucking realizes it and just drops the hammer on these people. Because I think I don't even know if you have to arrest all fucking 10,000, 20,000 people in the deep state. Dude, if you even arrested 100 of them and hung 10, that would put the fear of God.
For crimes we know they've already, we already know what they've done. Let's start with the pipe bomber.
Oh my God, dude. How absurd is that? Like the Blaze breaks it, ties it all together, the key card, the gate, all of it, dead to rights. You've got Kyle Seraphin over there who was on the case at the time. He's like, yeah, I was even surveilling her house. And after I told the higher ups I was surveilling her house, they took me off the case 4 fucking years ago, right? And then as soon as this breaks, magically it's an autistic black dude who fucking can't talk and was
I
never
call him an
there.
autistic. It's an autistic Urkel, right?
Dude.
That's what they want us to believe did this.
They released the cell phone pings. He's never there. He's never there. They think you are retarded. They are praying and hoping that you just can't pay attention to the details and that you forgot that they lied to you about Charlie and now they lie to you about this. And then and magically fucking Dan Bongino's just had his soul sucked out and things he knew 4 years ago, magically he's forgotten. And now like, nope, this is it. This is the guy. Oh yeah.
If you remember, right, from the oh God, it was on the tip of my tongue. The investigation into Trump by who's the special prosecutor?
Ed Martin.
Who?
Ed Martin?
No. Against him.
Jack Smith.
No, the other one, the old guy that's in a nursing home. He can't hardly talk. What was it?
The old FBI director.
Yeah, the old FBI director. God, his name is escaping me. Somebody knows it here. Well, anyway, we're supposed to believe that they bring these has-beens in and that they're going to be honest because they were elected by this guy or they were put into power by this guy or by this guy. And what we're realizing is, to your point, they're the deep state. It never stops. Once you're in, you're in.
And it almost, I almost fucking think that like Dan Bongino and Cash, like it could be that they even have no choice. That they tell their underlings like, hey, go do this. And it could be that they just laugh in their face and they're like, ha, you think you're in charge. It's hilarious. Right. They're like, you just got here. Like, go ahead and fucking tell somebody something. We're not doing that. This is what we're doing. This is what you're going to go say. Here's your script. Fucking.
Well, that's what I saw in Utah when Patel was at that press briefing for the assassination, and his eyes were so wide, and all I can imagine is that he realized that he was fucked. He had no power, no authority. The FBI, the CIA, what other U.S. dark agencies that are working with inside our borders to manage us, they were at work when he read that fucking document that said, these are the chats that these two young fellas had.
Oh my God, dude.
What the
all
fuck?
of that is, all of it, and none of it even stands. And it's like, it is the sloppiest thing I have ever seen in my life.
Like
and
it was
it's
made
wild.
up on the fly.
And it's wild that even the people that are like, now that Candace has uncovered even hints that it's our own government is in on this, and it's clearly our own government is in on it because our own government's silence on what everybody is pulling down, not only the corruption at TPUSA, but the military being involved and being on the ground, and all of it just being so orchestrated and controlled, and all the people that their parents are in the military. Like all these people around Charlie, their parents are in the military. All the people that show up on TV to talk about, that are on CNN talking, selling us the bullshit story, they're all connected to the military. Every single fucking one of them.
Well, it's like this deal with the Seditionist Six, right? How many of them were either former military
CIA,
or intelligence?
Navy
CIA?
intelligence, all the fucking worst hits. It's the intelligence agencies, and they just own it all somehow. It must be just Hoover on steroids. And even the people, and it's most people, I guess, are just cowards, and their price is not their life. Their price.
A great example for people to understand, and I was talking about it earlier, was that Netflix documentary called The Octopus Murders. Right, yeah, the Octopus Murders, because what it showcases is this smoke shop starts out in the desert on this Indian reservation, right? And then a few months later, they've got a casino. That was a CIA operation, CIA people working inside the United States. They were going to do weapons testing at this location, and what they realized is it's an Indian reservation, it's sovereign. Nobody can come see what we're doing. So the CIA found a place in the United States where they could do it and nobody could touch them.
Yeah.
Folks, I have to say, reiterate what Jess said earlier, is that their religion is they have to tell you what they're going to do to you. They tell us every day. They write books, they have seminars, they make videos, they create billboards. They've told you who the weapon is, or who the victim is going to be. They've told you who the bully is. You've got to determine if you're going to be one of those people. Are you part of the 80 who's going to be shoved around and told what to do? Or at some point, like Jess was saying earlier, are you going to take a stand? My first stand is, I'm not paying for insurance anymore. I'm done. If an illegal alien can get it for free, so can I. Thank you, America. Well, Kramer, that makes you part of the problem. No, that makes me a part of the solution. Because the moment more of you fuckers do this and drain these healthcare systems of their monthly $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 payments from Americans that can barely make ends meet, you're going to be the slave that you currently are. Jess, am I correct or not?
That's exactly spot on. You quit playing their game. Quit playing their game. Get out.
Get out.
You got a car with a car payment. Sell it and buy one that you can afford. Like you don't.
And if you got the money, go buy something pre all the circuit boards.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's what NASA has sitting out at their place in Florida. Right? They've got a whole museum of vehicles that are sitting there, and they're kept up to date. They're oiled. They're juiced. They've got everything that they need. They're ready to run in case the power goes out. In case there's an EMP, right? Now, tonight we talked about an EMP. I don't think they're going to use an EMP. They don't have to. They just have to turn the shit off. And the moment that they turn the shit off, 90% of us are dead within the first year. Kramer, they wouldn't do that. Yes, they would. They've done it before. This is conspiracy. This is all based on where we're headed. And folks, I'm a strategist. So if I want to get to the 2030 agenda date, we got to have those American people with guns removed from the equation. How do we do that? There's only 3 ways. 3. War, pestilence, or financial loss, right? The whole system collapses. If you listen to the beginning of the show, Glenn Beck tells you in his own way, it's fucked. We are fucked. The financial system is fucked. It's never getting paid back. That $36 trillion is never getting paid back, ever. So the only solutions are war, pestilence, or financial collapse. Now, they've told you time and time again the world that they have planned. Did they ever mention you in that? They don't. They talk about how good the future is going to be and what you'll do if you survive, but they don't talk about the future for you. They just talk about the future, what they're promising. And it's a George Jetson future. Look at what we're seeing on social media from China. Jess, have you seen those videos?
Oh my God, dude. China and Japan. Their
Impressive.
cities are amazing.
It's the George Jetson cities of the future. It's the ones I expect to see, flying cars going through.
Oh, they have hover trains.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my point is that the future that they have planned doesn't have us in it. They're going to do exactly what they said they're going to do. They're going to create their 15-minute cities. It's not to save the planet. It's to create city-states where you will not be able to go any farther than 15 minutes away. They've tested all the systems, folks. They know exactly what they're going to do. And the moment the power goes off, they will drive the people that they need to the places they want. Once they've got the chattel that they need in those places, it'll be shut down. If you don't get there first, you're locked out. Just like the Hunger Games and all these other horror movies that you've heard, what are seen over the years. Where do you think they get this logic from? They get it from the military, folks. That's it. I mean, the stuff that Jess gives you on a daily basis. Copywriters, script writers, they go look at that kind of, they read that kind of shit to get ideas for movies. The truth is being displayed in front of you all the time and you don't believe it because it's been presented to you as fantasy. George Orwell told you what the future is going to be.
Pre-programming. They are getting you prepared for it. So it's not a shock. You're like, oh, okay. And then they gaslight you a little bit. And they'll never tell you the bad side of it. They just tell you, oh, no, this is safe and effective. Don't you want to eat?
Don't you want some fries? Get some fries with that. How many of those 10 children that died from that vaccine, how many do you think got the fries? We've now learned that the vaccine has killed at least 10 children. We were told it was effective.
10.
They forced it on millions, billions. It wasn't. Now, what you're crying for is accountability. You see, there's only one way to hold people accountable. And that is being what your founding fathers were. Not pussies sitting around bitching and moaning on social media about how bad things are. No, they got together in their communities. And that's where it has to start, folks. These data centers, they're coming to your communities. They require those centers to control you in the next stage. There's no reason for all these data centers. They've got to be able to track everything that you're doing and analyze it in real time and send a report. He's a good boy. She's a good girl. Ooh, she broke the rules. He broke the rules. Let's take a check mark off. You've been canceled for a bit. You don't get to buy bananas today. You think that's insane? Go to China. The system's already in place. Great Britain is doing the exact same thing right now. They're going through this digital ID test. They're pushing it on the populace. The populace ain't liking it. At the same time, the populace of Great Britain are rising up against the Muslims. Did you see what happened today in Great Britain, where they went through and they opened up one of the migrant centers and burned it to the ground? The people of the world are pissed. We're done. None of us want to be serfs. None of us want 15-minute cities where we're locked in. Because the purpose of the 15-minute city isn't to save the planet, it's to stop dissent. If you can't travel more than 15 minutes, you can't get more than a 15-minute worth of rebellion built up. If you can't go to the next quadrant and the one over, the biggest issue that they will ever have is an uprising in that 15-minute area. And guess what they'll do? They'll send in forces from every place else. Folks, I'm a strategist. This is what I do. If they ask me to develop this plan that they have set for us in 2030 and how to get the American people to roll over and shut the fuck up and do as they're told, hand over their guns, hand over their rights, turn the power off, starve them. That's what I would do. You see, I'm a bully. I'm heartless. That's what I would do if I wanted to win. I can't be the only one. I'm a good guy thinking that.
You can know they intend to starve you because look at what they did during Corona, trying to shut down gardens, trying to stop anybody from growing their own food. That's how you know that's what they are after. How they keep talking about you shouldn't be eating meat, how they keep attacking our cattle supply here. Like this is
Marie
all little pinprick.
I can't say her name. Maria Bartiromo on Fox News was talking to a dude who said today that, or yesterday, I don't know which, my wife was telling me about it, that he sees $10 ground beef in our future. Now, folks, if you listen to my podcast before, one of the things that I've said over and over and over again is that they will collapse the system on Trump. Right? Jerome Powell should be working with the president. He's working against him. The big companies should be working with Trump to make the nation better. They're working against him. Meanwhile, he's got this war thing in Ukraine. Zelensky's not looking at the plan. Folks, they're making Trump useless. He's trying to exert his power, and every time he exerts it, either the courts come in to stop him or the deep state does.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I wrong here?
Laura Logan just did a whole report saying that, like, none of Trump's executive orders are even being followed.
Yep.
That only, like, I should have checked this, but it was as low as like 30% of the appointees that Trump's supposed to put in. That's all he's got. All the people that were supposed to resign when Trump came in and Doge was doing that have handed in their resignations. Not a single one of them have quit. All of Biden's people are still in there. All of Biden's.
The deep state is still working.
Yes, because like you say, it's the Biden administration was the deep state times a fucking 1,000 with a liberal fucking flavor to it. But like that was the most CIA president fucking next behind George Bush the first, because he was the fucking CIA.
Well, that was what was interesting about the 2020 election, when we were told we couldn't talk about it, that it was a threat to national security if we brought it up. We're American citizens. You don't tell me what I can and can't talk about. Exactly. And if me talking about a stolen election is national security, that's a threat to it, then we got problems in this nation. Because my voice saying, hey, listen, I think the elections may have been rigged, shouldn't have any power if it's not the truth. They only silence the truth. They don't silence the lies. There's no propaganda that silences lies. Propaganda are lies.
Yes. If they're honest in their intentions, even a simple question can be answered just like this.
Right.
Why'd you do that?
Yes, no.
Why'd you eat that ice cream? Because I like ice cream.
Right.
Like, it's just that fast.
Yep. Well, that's why when you go through the halls of Congress and you ask certain congressmen, hey, who are you going to pick first if you had to, America or Israel? And they just walk away. They won't answer.
No. It's what they're doing, and that's what they're doing with all of this. All of these questions, all of these investigations, all of these scandals, all of the laptops, not a single thing, nothing. And even when even though that there are fucking like independent reporters in the White House, they ask the question and they completely fucking swing around the whole other left side of it. It's still the same issue in place. And it's clearly not the people. Like, Tulsi's getting it done. RFK is getting it done. There are things happening. But God, dude, didn't I hear that Alina Habba, did she get booted today? I should have checked.
No, I didn't hear that. I've been getting ready for tonight, so I haven't seen much of news at all today. So I'm kind of blind.
Somebody messaged me that. I didn't see it. But if that's the case, that's just a huge fucktard mess. And like Ed Martin, that was uncovered. The DOJ second in command is that Todd Blanche, that Democrat DOJ. He's the one doing everything because Pam Bondi's lazy and just wants to go on Fox News. So she dictates everything down to Todd Blanche, who is a Democrat, who keeps shutting everything down, who even has grand juries open into Ed Martin, the special prosecutor who's been appointed to look into fucking goddamn Smith and the whole fucking prosecution of Trump and all of that shit. All of these grand juries are done. But now even Jeanine Pirro, like, is somehow being hamstrung. But, like, Jeanine Pirro is only in D.C., and none of these cases should be brought in D.C. Every single one of them should be brought in, I don't even know, fucking...
Florida's the place to bring them. Florida. Exactly. If you can get it through the Florida courts, that's the way to go. And like, the reason is people go, well, those courts are owned by Trump. No, they're applying the Constitution. Yes. Folks, there is no way you can justify the president, a former president of the United States, getting 34 felonies for a misdemeanor. They can't tell you the underlying crime. They can't tell you what he did. They can tell you he's got 34 felonies, but they can't tell you the underlying crime. Well, it was this or it was that. No, those aren't crimes. So they turned a misdemeanor into 34 felonies. The question is, if they had pictures of Trump fucking a little kid, don't you think it'd been easier to do that? Because Reid Hoffman had to spend millions. You know, he's the one who drove that whole thing. They got the law changed in New York City. There was a 6-month window that women could come forward and say, I got raped. I know it's out of the, statute of limitations, but I got raped. And so they let women come forward. And guess who came forward? E. Jean Carroll, funded by Reid Hoffman, the same guy who helped get the law passed.
So it's all openly corrupted. It's right there. Yeah. Even you could go to a jury. You just lay that right out right there. Yep. Done. You're guilty. That's fucking like, oh my God, dude. Like, and so it's not difficult. Like, so what is preventing that accountability? Is it that they just tell him, like, if you try to bring any accountability, we'll pull that one Jenga piece out of the economy and watch the whole thing fall? Because like we're at 350. And I have said it for a while. They would rather rule over ashes than cede any of 100%. Their power. I don't think that it is above them to just the Samson option, like Israel. Just put the whole fucking thing in.
Yep. Burn
like,
it to the ground.
If we can't have our way with you as slaves, then we'll just nuke the whole fucking thing. And I mean, that's one thing that I think that's the most logical thing to me that they can throw at all these presidents that try to do anything, that are just like, well, then we'll just kill everybody.
Yeah.
Like if you don't,
well, that's all they have left. That's all they have left because they've thinned out in the military. They've thinned out in the military, the police. They've thinned out all those people that said no.
Exactly. Corona fucking absolutely purged the military. Yep. All of my friends that I know are fucking tip-top veterans. I have friends that were in SEAL Team 6. They're all out. They like all those special forces people left, all the patriots, all the people who knew and were in the top because they weren't allowed to stay. The people that were good people in the military, they pushed them out. The people that just kind of go along but maybe like religiously refuse the vax, they let them fuckers slide along. They're not a fucking problem. But the people who stood on morals and weren't going to do those. And
those people are called leaders, right?
Yeah.
They're going to do what they're going to do regardless of what anybody else says. And some people go, well, I'm not a leader. Yeah, you are. When you do your own thing that's in your own best interest, you're a leader. I mean, if you remember that movie, Tom Hanks is out there running, right? In Forrest Gump, right? He's running down the road. He just started running. Before he knows it, he looks back and there's people behind him. Leaders just do what they want. Followers are made up by people who go, I like what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Jess, you know that, right? You didn't stand up to be an influencer, right? You went to social media just like I did and said, you know what? I'm tired of this bullshit. I don't have to live this way. I am an American citizen. I'm not a subject. Shut the fuck up. Sit the fuck down. I'm going to show you what the Constitution is all about if you don't stop pushing and pushing the bear. I'm done.
100%. I think everybody sees where I live. I choose to live in the middle of nowhere. 100%. Like, I wanted to be left the fuck alone. I didn't want anything to do with social media. I didn't want anything to do with anybody, anything outside of this world. I don't like this society. I don't like this world. Like, it's none of what I want to be a part of. But I'm sick and tired of it. And it pushed and pushed and pushed, and they weren't going to leave me alone anymore. So I was like, fuck you then. Fuck you. I will fucking burn it all down. I will, and that's because that's the only thing we can do. You have, and it is. You have to expose all of this. You have to stand up even at the local level and be like, no, I'm not doing that. And you'll be shocked when, like, I never wore a mask during Corona. I would walk right into box stores and they would say, oh, you got to have it. I would say, thank you. And I'd give them a thumb up. And I was like, good job. Thank you. And I never follow them. I was just like, that's awesome. I'll do that. And then not do it and just keep walking. And they don't know what to do. They don't because
you're an alpha. They're a beta.
Yeah,
right?
And they just let you go.
They're the 80% that don't know how to respond to authority.
Yeah, you don't even need to argue with them.
Yeah. As long as they're not a super Karen. If you get a super Karen, male or female, it doesn't matter. They're gonna try and showcase just how strong they are and how weak you are because they're a bully. They use the same tactics that the bully used on the playground, back 20, 30, 40 years ago. Well, longer than that for me. But the bullies never changed. I'm going to take one more break. We got about, let's go to midnight if you don't mind. We got about 12 minutes here. Let's take a break. But I want to say this before we leave. Went to a class reunion, realized that the bullies that were bullies in 8th grade are still bullies as adults. Nothing ever changes. The people you knew, the people you know are done. They are who they are. And what you're getting out of them is the most you're going to get. We'll wrap things up next. I got a question for you when we come back here, Jess. Hold on.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
Franklin D. Roosevelt said,
"In politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can be sure it was planned that way."
I don't make a habit of quoting FDR, but on this point, he's 100% right, which makes Vice President Vance's comments from last night even more important to pay attention to.
The only way to honor Charlie is to get to the bottom of exactly how this person was radicalized and who else was involved in it.
Hi, I'm Peter Flaherty, chairman of the National Legal and Policy Center. Since 1991, the NLPC has investigated and exposed the high crimes and misdemeanors of politicians and corporate leaders alike. Our mission is about one thing: accountability, not partisanship, just like Vice President Vance was talking about last night.
That is political terrorism, but it's not just the people who are killing the cops. It's not just the people who are engaging in throwing the Molotov cocktails and in the riots. Where was the money coming from? Who was organizing this violent activity? That is not going after Democrats unless, by implication, you're saying every single Democrat is involved in planning political violence.
For the past several years, NLPC is focused on who's funding the violence on our streets and the radicalization of our kids. Oddly, the same names keep popping up. Names like Soros, Hoffman, and Gates. The protests and the riots aren't happening by accident. The violence is not spontaneous. The left strategy is clear: encourage arson, vandalism, and looting, and then blame the violence on the law enforcement response. The protesters are well-funded and equipped, and the NLPC is digging deep into exposing those responsible for supplying these groups with the masks, shields, and other devices being used to perpetuate violence in the name of social justice. To learn more about our mission or to join it, follow and share us on this social media platform or visit our website, nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Last couple of minutes here before we close things down here. My special guest tonight has been Jess. Jess, first of all, thanks for coming onto the show and giving your input and letting us know what you think. What I'd like to do is just give you the last 10 minutes. Where are we at? Where are we going? How much time do we have left, in your opinion?
how much time do we have left? It's just like I said earlier, they just push and push and push. The only option we have is to stand up and demand that accountability here. But like our chances of getting that, what are our chances of actually getting accountability? It doesn't look very good at all. And I honestly don't know. They don't seem willing to even listen to any public input at all. They're ignoring all of us. They don't address any of this. They roll out absolute bullshit. We demand justice, and they have the balls to throw us an autistic fucking black dude when it's clearly a white person for the pipe bombing in J6. And it's just, we all know that's a Fed surrection.
Yep.
And there's just a complete ignorance of the facts. They just, so it's frustrating. I'm frustrated by it. Yep. Because the more we all know what the crimes are, we all know who's responsible, and there really is zero excuse at this point. And how you apply that pressure is just...
Well, I think it's got to start at home, right? D.C. is its own problem. I've worked in both local politics and D.C. politics for the last 20 years, and I'm telling you they're the same. The corruption, the bullshit, all of it. The only place that you can control is right in your neighborhood. And it starts, by the way, in your HOA. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's where it really starts. Somebody says you can't put up an American flag. Fuck you, sue me. Let's see each other in court, cunt. And then, by the way, if you have that problem, get a hold of me. We'll make an example of them. This is what we got to do. I heard a lady the other day say, Jess, we've got to bring back public shaming, right? I'm talking about the nation potentially being shut down for a year because the electricity goes out, and people think that's insane. But just a few weeks ago, half the nation was screaming that they were going to starve if the government didn't do their thing.
Yeah, if we don't get food stamps, we're all going to starve, though. Yeah.
So the lights go out, everybody starves. They're not saving anybody out except those that they need to save out. I don't think, I've looked at this time and time again. The finances say that the financial system collapses no matter what Trump does, no matter what the banks do, nothing within 18 to 36 months. Now, let's just say for shits and giggles, this group goes through this next election, the system continues to falter and spit and putt, and we have complete chaos in 2027. That's what the prediction is. And you can go look it up. It's not just mine. I'm not making it up. I'm well researched. I'm telling you the numbers so you can go find it. You go find the evidence. I'm telling you the years. I'm not making it rough. Is that right, Jess? I mean, we've played a lot of videos tonight already. We've already shown a lot of proof.
How is it not falling apart already? How can Minnesota, now they're up to what? $15 billion in fraud now when they have calculated in the fake Obamacare people receive it, and then it's like, what Obamacare are they on that they just get free money? Like what? And like nobody even questioned that. They put that out there and they're like, yeah, they put in their names and they got money, and it's like, who on the fuck on Obamacare was getting checks sent to them? Like, and nobody even asked the question of like what level of fraud that is?
Right. No, the thing that they were doing is getting pissed off that Trump used the word garbage against Somalians. Well, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I get to call anybody who steals from me any fucking thing I want. I don't care where they came from. I don't care what color they are. I don't care what religion they are. They're stealing from me. That's our money. We welcomed them into this country with open arms, and they treat us like fucking dogs. If we think they're going to get any better, if we think that letting them stay here, Jess, is going to solve any problems, like that group is going to suddenly start building rocket companies and Tesla vehicles, and that's where the next growth in this country's coming from.
Pirates.
They're still fucking their cousins. They still shit in a hole in the ground.
They're literally Somali pirates coming here and just doing Somali pirate things, and everybody's shocked. And it's like, no, that's a scorpion. Like, that's what it does.
That's what
like, I don't even know what the fuck. You're not even, you shouldn't even be surprised. And like, I
don't even let him on your back.
I am close to them motherfuckers. The cities are a no-go zone. The stories, people I know have sent their kids to the cities to go to college and shit, they bring their kid's car out to me and they're like, can you weld rebar all around their fucking catalytic converter so it doesn't get cut off? Like, I've done 2 of those. Like, it is an absolute shithole. My buddy was up there, and like the stories, there was a guy who had broken into he was causing problems in some kind of a record store. Their security guard had restrained the guy, zip tied him to a chair. My buddy walks in, here's this random crazy looking Somali dude zip tied to a chair, and they called the cops, and it was 8 hours later and the cops never came. They finally just had to cut the dude loose and send him free. Like, it is a full on collapsed society. Everybody with any amount of sense is just fucking fled. Like, where I am here, everybody around me is what we call Minnesota refugees. And then so that only makes it collapse faster. The only thing here is such harsh, swift accountability. Like, there needs to be, like, and it is, you don't want to, when you're not enforcing a police state, when it's checkpoints and anybody who is an American citizen flashes a fucking card and you're fucking on your way. Like, that is not a police state. Like, when we are at this point of what we need to happen, we need such harsh accountability that people's heads fucking spin. I wish Trump used to not give a fuck what the liberal media says, but now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he gives a fuck what the liberal media says, because he won't just do these things. There needs to be.
Well, I'm going to jump in, and I think that there's a reason for that. There is a conspiracy, or I'm hearing in the rumor mills, that what Trump is doing, everything that he's trying to do, the redistricting, getting the power base built back up in the GOP, everything that he's doing right now is to set up a 2026 election. Democrats can't allow it to happen. Republicans are retiring and quitting at record rates because they know what's coming. They're hearing the exact same things. I don't know if you saw 20 GOP members announce their retirements today. So you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, you got others. So there's a bunch that are abandoning ship. They know what's coming, because what's coming is what we're preaching.
I think what Democrats are also bailing ship too.
Well, they are.
It's something like 100 total.
Well, between both parties, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so you've got these MAGA people that are going to start running in these seats, and that's what they're most feared. They don't want to serve with MAGA because they know MAGA will not stop. And so they're just stepping out because they know what's coming next. And you know what's coming next? If this is true and what Trump has in plan is true, it's 26 is retribution, 27. That's why everything is so important to look at 27. See, what we look at is timing and strategy, planning out long-term events. It's all timing. And if things get, right? Now, people talk about, well, that's Q bullshit. No, it's not. No, trust me. I have worked with enough government people. First of all, they can't keep their mouth shut that long. Everybody wants credit for something. And second, they're not that efficient, right? I mean, look at what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about how bad the government is at doing what they do. Yeah. They're not good at doing 5D chess. All these conspiracy theories and everything you got going on, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a strategist. And I look at the news in front of me, the information in front of me, and say, based on this, Occam's razor, what's most likely to be true? Right, Jess?
Exactly.
I mean, when I see your content, it's the same exact way.
Yeah. No, I'm just looking at all the pieces and historical, what they've done in the past and what they say they're going to do. You just listen to them.
They're not doing it, and it doesn't make me un-American. It doesn't make me anti-MAGA, and it doesn't make me anti-Trump or paid $7,500 from Israel to speak the way that I speak. Nobody pays me. I do what I do. I say what I say. That's what it's been from the very beginning. That's what I liked about Jess. Jess is doing the exact same thing. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want to say, and who the fuck cares past that? Well, that's the American spirit. That's what built this country. Jess, final words.
We are the ones that hold all the power. At the end of the day, public opinion still rules the day. Public opinion rules the day. If it didn't, they would not propagandize you so fucking hard. And the more you can recognize that propaganda and immediately turn it off and do the opposite of what they're telling you, like that's the best thing for you to do. If the news comes on and says you should do A, then definitely go and do B. You know, if they're saying like, take this fucking new experimental drug to save your life, like it's the opposite. You don't do it so you don't die. And when you're looking like, who should I trust? Who can do something? The people that can spot bullshit, we all know who they are right now. They are the unvaxxed. When in question, look to the unvaxxed. Those are the people around us. They fucking know what bullshit smells like. And even the influencers and the people, it's fucking wild. The people that are telling you, you know, that there's, oh no, that there's a plan and there's just don't worry and let Trump cook and don't ever criticize him. Those are the same motherfuckers that put on masks. Those are the same motherfuckers that have an excuse for why they took the jab. Like, no, we have to stand 10 toes down on principle and what we demanded from the beginning and what we were promised. MAGA doesn't owe its allegiance to Trump the man. MAGA owes its allegiance to the ideas and the mission, the truth, the transparency, the accountability. Yep. And so, like, Trump doesn't get to dictate to us about what the terms of MAGA are. We need to stand up and let it be known that we dictate these terms.
We've taken ownership. It's ours.
Yes.
We the people.
Yes.
You're not a king. True. You don't tell us. You don't manage us anymore. I think that's interesting, Jess. A lot of people, said, you're going to take that Trump vaccine. Bullshit. Not taking any. I don't care whose name you attach to that. I didn't take it.
Yeah. Fucking no.
Right?
No. And that's what I mean. Like, look to the unvaxxed. Yeah. Those are the people that are still telling the truth. And I didn't even put that. I listened to a whole lot of different people, but like Glenn Greenwald, people on the left, Tucker, and even people that I don't agree with on everything. Like Piers Morgan often has good things on, but like it's every single time a person that is so addicted to the truth, they're all unvaxxed. They're all unvaxxed.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want the truth, ask a guy who was willing to stand and say, not me, and I'll bear the slings and arrows and everything else that come at me. That's what it was like during 2020. Yes, I'm playing the victim because we were victimized. Our rights were violated, and it's time that we start speaking up and saying, hey, listen, where's our payment? Where's our fucking money? We don't want that, but we want accountability.
I have had far more harassment than this social media is even fucking worse. But I am a damaged and jaded individual that I am not in it for the fucking profit.
Nope.
I am in it just because I am told I should sit down and shut up. It makes me fucking be like, oh yeah, watch this motherfucker. Yep. Oh, you don't want me to say that? I'll say it twice as loud and I'll say it twice as often.
Yep.
Like I get nothing out of this except fucking harassment from the fucking IRS, from fucking lawfare, from fucking death threats. And dude, it's just unbelievable. I've had fucking spooks come out here. And that's the other thing, like blackmail and coercion. It does not come in the form of threats. It comes in the form of friendship. And it's like, hey, let me give this flattery. Never trust someone who comes at you with flattery sucking your dick. That's the first fucking red flag. I've learned all this. I didn't have to learn this here. I learned that shit in the art world immediately. Like I started in high art world doing large scale public art installations. And it wasn't, dude, I realized like the first end, it was a USAID money. And I did 12 Indian statues. Yes, that was my first thing right out of college. A huge contract, federal money given to the Indians for 12 life-size statues. And like the fuckery was immediate. Everything that you see in USAID, the universities dug their way into the materials fund for it. $10,000 would go missing here. $10,000 would go missing there. 2,000. And then the fucking Native Americans, the fucking Indians, they started fucking figuring out there was a bunch of money and trying to figure out. And I was just like, I was blown away. I got drug out of so many fucking meetings because I was like, that dude took 10,000. That dude took 10,000. And I was like, stop taking money out of this motherfucking account. And they were like,
it's like Oprah.
And I said
everybody
like
gets 10,000. You get it. They get it. Everybody gets it.
I didn't just become this way. I've always been this way. And I had the lawyer drag me out of that meeting. That was like a $300,000 grant money job to build these sculptures. And like I was the only one doing anything. And all these motherfuckers, all these bureaucrats. And like I hated it. I hated it right from there. And I only did one more large public sculpture, and it was the same thing. And I said, fuck you all. Fuck you all. But it was like, that's that university test where they test you. Yep. They test to see somebody. Will you take the money? Will you take the payoff? Will you be quiet? And it was like, oh, we want to bring somebody else in. Because I was like, fine, fuck you, blow it all up. Like, I'm done with this. And I'm taking
I always looked at myself, I'm a talented guy. I had a job before I met you, right? That's the way I've always been. And so I'll just move on to the next thing. Okay,
I'll go figure out something else to do, 100%. And I've done that. I ended up here back on this farm in 2008, and that's when I fucking just completely pulled out of the matrix. Completely pulled all the fucking way out. I quit participating in all of it, and I just did my own thing, and that's what ceramics granted me, where I could make whatever the fuck I wanted, and I just take it out and sell it, and I was, fuck the world.
So besides being on social media, where can people find you to look at or buy your goods? Learn more about
3dclassiccarparts.com. That's where we've got merch, car parts. I sell my art on there. My art goes fast. I post ceramics up. I'm going to try to post some more of my artwork up this week, but that's a fucking lottery game right there. But when you win, it's fucking awesome.
That's right. Write it out because you don't know what tomorrow's going to be. That's what we've been talking about tonight. My special guest, Jess, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for being here. Can't wait to have you back on again.
Yeah, it's good talking with you, Kramer.
You too, bud.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
To learn more about the CramerSez project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
The price of plastic
You're watching
is going up.
CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Wrapping things up. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Great conversation. If you didn't catch all, make sure to go back and get the replay. Super excited about some of the information that we laid out. But folks, let me be really clear. As I've been telling you for the longest time, I don't get hired by companies and paid a lot of money to come in and make shit up and be a conspiracy theorist. They want as close as they can get that this is most likely to happen because they're going to either spend or not spend millions of dollars based on this advice. I've been doing this for 30 years. So let me tell you, when I tell you what my concerns are and where we're going, it's not based on conspiracy. It's based on what these people that are driving us towards this cliff have been telling us for the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years. That's right. These organizations started when I was born, back in the mid-60s. Think about that. They've been working toward this plan in the form that they're doing it for 60 years. They're not going to stop. Trump isn't going to stop them. The only thing that stops their plan of global domination, and by the way, for those of you who think that that's conspiracy theory, this is what they keep telling us that they want to do. They want the WHO and the WEF and a group of, people at the top that are shareholders. They'll drive what we need in our life. If you remember, right after COVID started to slow down, Davos had a meeting where they said that we're going to have to reevaluate what free speech means in a post-COVID world. Do you remember that? They're not stopping, folks. The mission continues. If you watch Jess's content or you watch my content or you watch other content, what you'll find is that we don't have any skin in the game as far as any reason to tell you something that isn't true. Well, Kramer, you may be paid opposition. They're in your head. That's what I'm talking about. You're talking exactly the way that they want you to talk. Distrust everybody. Let me tell you what my trust is in. My trust is in that piece of paper sitting in the archives in Washington, D.C. that says, I get to do what I'm doing tonight. And if you come through my door and you try to stop me from doing it, I get to kill you. That's what the document says. It doesn't just say that. It gives us the permission to rip these people from power. The power that they have isn't theirs, it's ours. Now, am I calling for revolution? Am I calling for people to get ripped out of their office and ran out of town on a rail? Yeah, at some point that's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't make the rules, folks. Louis XIV ain't any different than right now today. And if you don't realize that historically, that there's always this pivot. That's why January 6th was so scary. They thought they were all going to die. They thought that they were going to be brought out to these made-up guillotines, right? They thought that they were going to be brought out to there and beheaded by the crowd, when we're finding out that that was all made up, that the FBI and the CIA and other agencies were a part of that. We keep finding out more and more. But to Jess's point, these people are not being held accountable. You read the message that Charlie Kirk's assassin allegedly wrote to his trans gay lover. I don't know if that works. Trans gay? I don't know. Anyway, you've read that garbage. You realize what it is? That didn't happen. That was made up. Maybe that's why Patel was standing there with his eyes like this. I think that he was realizing potentially that he didn't have the power that he thought, and the people that are in control of the FBI are doing what, well, the people in control of the FBI do when they've got a problem. Or they want to be a part of a problem, solve a problem. And maybe it's not the FBI, maybe it's the CIA or some other covert group inside our nation. They've already told us that they have hitmen. The CIA says that they have a list on Tuesdays. And they kill people that get in the way of U.S. policy. I have to think that if you believe that they're only doing that in nations around the world and not here on U.S. soil, I think that you've got to admit you're a little naive. We're at the end, folks. This is the end game. The solution? We can stop paying taxes. We can do what we can do. But they've got money. They've got power. And they know what they're going to do, and they know when. The only thing that you can do is get ready. What will happen? If the plan that we've laid out is correct, the timeline doesn't matter so much, but you'll start to see things happen because they got to do certain things to get certain things taken care of. And as I've said tonight, they will always build the new system before they'll integrate. They'll always build the new system before they get rid of the old system. We've got a lot of detention centers around the country. They've been testing how to build them everywhere, even in the Everglades. Folks, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I look at what we've been told they're going to do, and then I look at what they're doing. We haven't mentioned Bible. We haven't mentioned Scripture or any of that. Why? We don't need to. You see, for those of you who are on that track, you're not most likely going to be any help to those of us who are going to fight the fight. Say, no, this isn't what our country wants. You're doing the same thing that the Q PSYOP is doing. Lord's coming. I don't have to do anything. I'm waiting for him to come back. Well, just in case the Lord isn't coming back right now today, maybe you ought to pick up what I'm laying down and start understanding your freedom. The Christians, they go first. Just like in the days of Rome, they don't fuck around. You guys are the ones that are in the biggest group. Why do you think that the FBI went after the Catholic? Because you can't hardly break them? They got a tight-knit family, those Catholics do. I know that. I got a bunch of friends that are Catholics. It's hard to break into that clique. You got to be one of them. I ain't. I get invited. I'm not asked to stay around. They've been friends since the day they were, that tall. I'm the newcomer. That's why the FBI wanted the Catholic Church, Catholic parishioners. Also because those that are most staunch in their beliefs are going to be the ones that can't be told what to do. Folks, if you look at what they've done over the last several years, they keep weeding out those people that will say the most powerful two letters on the face of the planet to power. No, I'm not doing it. You're going to have to make me. So here's the point that we're at. We're going to have to start getting used to saying what you had to say to the bully. Right? Now, I don't know if you know much about bullies. For those of you who don't, I'm going to educate you real quick. They don't want to fight. They just want you to do what they want you to do without you doing shit. Right? That's what the bully does. Shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down, do as you're told. That's what they're going to do. That's what they've been doing. They're not changing that. And their plans are set in stone. They've told us what year they want to have all this done by. They spent 60 years and trillions of your dollars to get here. So let's explain real quickly how we got here, and then I'll wrap things up. The Fed comes in 1913, right? I'm going to make this a Reader's Digest version for those who don't know this story. The Fed comes in 1913. There's some hullabaloo about that whole thing because a bunch of people who didn't want it were weirdly on the Titanic when it went down. So all the people that said, no, we don't want a central bank, all the bankers, they went to the bottom of the sea. And so we got a central bank. Makes you think, don't it? So they start the central bank, and the first thing that they do is go to war. Why? Because war is the only way they make money. War and printing money, counterfeiting money, that's the only way they make money. See, the Fed doesn't make any money. They get interest on the loans from the U.S. government. A private bank, private citizens, it's not federal, has nothing to do with the government other than it writes the checks for the government and charges us a fee to print our own coins. Now, what they've done over the years is they've played this little game, right? It's a Ponzi scheme. It's gotten to the point to where our dollar is lost 99.96% of its value. That's why a penny isn't worth a penny anymore. That's why it's too expensive to print. They've devalued our currency. Why? That's what destroys nations. They know it. They've got to take us to the brink. And not only have they taken us to the brink, but they put us $36 trillion in debt, making everything cost more as they, continue to print money like crazy. Now, the people at the top, they're not hurting. They're fine. They're liquid. They got everything taken care of. And they can get these big loans. But you, a little guy trying to go get a house for the first time, you can't afford that. Because they're squeezing every fucking dime out of everything before they shut it all down. They know what that date is. Estimates are 18 to 36 months. That's why gold is at $4,000 plus. That's why crypto is being hit so hard. The big money is trying to drive the little money out. They want it all to themselves. You've probably heard that argument among crypto before. They don't want you, the slave, the serf. They don't want the subject having as much money as they do. What's that going to look like at the country club? Think about that. It's the same thing, folks, that Roosevelt did back in 34, when he made gold illegal. Made everybody send in their gold, right? Paid them for it at the current price, which was shit. And then raised that price so that they could take the proceeds to themselves. And they've done this over and over and over. And every 11.4 years, we either have a war, pestilence, or a financial collapse. Every 11.4 years since 2013. Now, here's the thing. I say average because that's the average if you start from 2013 to now. But if you look at it on a scale, they're getting closer and closer and closer and closer together. Why? Because the Ponzi scheme is collapsing. We can't get China to buy our bonds anymore. They don't want that worthless paper. They just want us to go away. They want us to fail. So maybe what they do is they dump a bunch of that worthless money onto the market. When I talk about worthless money, hopefully you understand that when the Fed does this thing called quantitative easing, it sounds like, ooh, that's pretty fancy. Somebody who went to college came up with that. That is the same thing as counterfeiting. Same exact thing, no different. You see, if I had, as an American citizen, had the capacity to go inject $1.7 trillion into the economy without any gold backing it up, right? If I had done that, I'd be in jail right now for the biggest case of counterfeiting in U.S. history. The Fed does it on a daily basis. They pump money through the system like that all the time. And every time they're taking a dime here, dime here, dime here, dime here, dime here, dime here. And every time they take that dime, folks, the usury of our system, it takes a little bit more value out of the system. It makes everything cost a little bit more. So for all of you idiots out there, and you know which side of the aisle you're on, that are talking about this affordability issue right now and blaming it on big corporations, are some of them price gouging? Probably. Yep, definitely. But the high prices ain't because of them. No, the high prices are because the Fed counterfeited trillions of dollars over the last several years. Everything's doubled in cost because the Fed counterfeited trillions of dollars. Now, the bill's coming due for us. They want us to pay the interest on all that money, and that interest payment is what's going to bankrupt this nation. It's going to bankrupt you. And when it happens, the banks fail. What I mean by that is you go to the bank, there's no money there. Just like back in 1931 rather. 1929, I'll get it. I'm thinking of different dates of that period with Roosevelt. Folks, there is no solution. There's no one coming to save us. There's no white hats. We are right back where we started as American patriots. If you're not willing to stand up, even in your local community, and I'm not talking about taking a march up to D.C., there's so much corruption in your local community that no one is looking into, right? So much. I know that in southern Indiana, for example, there's an assessor down there that is illegally raising the prices of homes so she gets a pay raise. We need people to report on those issues, hold those people accountable. You see, if we start holding people accountable at home, those people that we can trust that are still in office because they know that they will be held accountable, that the citizens just may come in and ride them out on a rail. That was the old threat, folks. They're not threatened by violence anymore. They believe that they're safe from history. They don't understand that if they don't stop pushing like that little sister in the back seat that goes, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, and then dad hits a bump and all of a sudden Becky touches you and gives you the authority to smack the shit out of her. That's where America is. We're fatigued everywhere. We're done. We're finished. The American people don't, or the American government doesn't understand that. They're status quo. They're in the bubble, folks. They have no fucking idea what's going on out here. They're instructed by the young people through social media, hey, this is what's going on in New York. Look at all these people liking Mom Donnie. Maybe we have to think more about that, huh? That's what it is today, folks. That's why content like Jess and mine is different. I don't give a fuck if you follow me or not. I can pretty much say for him that he feels the same. I'm not sure if he does or not. But I don't care if you follow me or not. I'm going to speak my truth, what I think is going on. And if you don't like it, well, then you can go grind gears. I don't give a shit. You see, I'm an actor. That's the way we were raised. And I want to make this the last thing that I say, and I think it's important for people to understand. Gen X, of all of them, is the best. We didn't cause any problems. No wars. No financial crises. No, we're in charge now. We're starting to get power. 60 years old. Gen Xers are starting to finally take power. Why? Because we can't trust the boomers, the millennials, or the Gen Z to get this shit right. The boomers want to rob us blind and keep the status quo. And Gen Z and the millennials and all the others below me, what they want to do is they just want to burn it all to the ground because they've been told their entire lives they're either oppressed or a victim. We can ask for a better America. We can tone down the rhetoric really, really easily. You know how you do that? You just stop listening to it. You stop commenting. Boycotts, right? The little things that you can do. Now, when I say that, I mean like you boycott TikTok for a year or Instagram for a year, or you don't go to a certain store for 3 months. You start spending your money more wisely. You start saving your money because, folks, you're going to have something afterwards. When this is all done, the paper in your pocket and sadly, the money in everybody's bank account is gone. There is no saving it. There's no FDIC. It's all done. We were in bad shape at 250% of GDP. We are currently at 350% of GDP. No nation has survived 250. We're at 350. The clock is ticking. And these politicians are playing the exact same games that got us here. I didn't do it. You didn't do it. Those motherfuckers in D.C. did it. Those motherfuckers in your city council did it. Those motherfuckers in your town hall, they're the ones doing this to you. Those are the ones you've got to hold accountable. You start at home. You don't like what's going on in your school? Let it be known. You run into a superintendent or somebody on the school board, remember what the rules are? Remember what we were told? Get in their face. Because your liberties and your freedoms are dependent on you willing to be, I can't even say it. I can't even get that out. I think it's because I'm thirsty. Hold on a second here. I've been thirsty for the last 10 minutes, sorry. It is not my responsibility to stand up for your rights. They're individual rights. Yours. So when you stand up to defend them, just by using your voice, no, I'm not doing that. Nope, you can't make me. And then sticking by it. And telling the bully the thing that the bully hates to hear most. Or what? What are you going to do? That's where we are, folks. The left is pushing. Their solution is violence in the streets. That's what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. Wait until we get closer and closer to 2028, when the Democrats have finally decided what the fuck they're going to do if we make it that far. The window that we see right now is sometime in 2027. Again, these are based on financial documents. These are based on historical trends. We're not making it up. Once you hit a certain point of GDP, you've got this long and the clock is already ticking. I ain't making it up. You can go find it for yourself online. So with this information, what you've got to ask yourself is, what do you do next? Now, unlike a lot of influencers on social media, I don't have a solution for you. I'm not going to tell you to buy something I've got. I don't have anything. What I want you to do is start thinking about what your future is, because it's not my responsibility to help you define what your future is. You've got to define what you want it to be. Do you want it to be this future that they're selling us? 15-minute cities? Limited rights? You'll be told what drugs you have to take? If they continue down this path, the moment they think that they've got a little gadget that they can stick inside your brain or stick inside your body to manage you, control you, give you drugs on a regular, whatever, that'll be the new thing you got to do. Is that the future that you want? That shit stops right now today. But you have to be willing to stand up in defense of your own personal liberties. Like I said, your liberties, your freedoms are not my responsibility. The CramerSez Project is about bringing truth back and having blunt conversations, talking to the left, talking to the right, getting the information and disseminating truth. Not my opinion on it. I have an opinion. It's the facts, folks. Just the facts. Right? Just give me the facts. No spin, no opinion. Just what happened. When, where, why. We don't know how unless we're told, right? They start making that shit up. That's what we're trying to build at the CramerSez Project. If you want to learn more about this, get yourself over there, CramerSezProject.com. It tells you kind of what we're doing. I'm looking for people in media. We need people like myself that are able to get in front of a camera and go for an hour or two and disseminate this kind of information. We're trying to build a system that allows us to feed news real news to the American people, and more importantly, investigate what has not been investigated for the last 20 years. We're talking about everything from drugs, the vaccines, digging deep and exposing exactly what's going on. We're talking about investigations into crimes. Well, we're looking at what Eric Swalwell is doing. If there's one, there's more. The fact that Letitia James was doing the exact same thing, this is a game, folks. They all tell each other how to game the system. It's a little illegal. When the Democrats told you they weren't going to enforce the law at the border, that should have told you everything you needed to know about the Democrats. Because when they said they wouldn't enforce that one, my question is, well, which other ones won't you enforce? And it's the ones they can justify that enrich them. It's just a little illegal. What I want you to do is start thinking about what your future is, what you want it to be. What future do you want for your children, your grandchildren? This isn't what our founding fathers had in mind, folks. A Muslim mayor in New York, a group up in, Michigan and Minnesota, telling us how they're going to run things, how things are going to be. After we welcome them into our home, they've got to be expelled. You see, the American experiment requires the melting pot to work. And if you are one of those clunky little turds in the bottom that we can't seem to get, the shit out of right, then you got to fucking go. You can't be a part of the stew. We're done. We want our country back. It's not your country. It is. You came here from one that you said was a shithole. And then you have the audacity to come and tell me how I have to live my life to make you feel comfortable. Nope. Get the fuck on a boat, get the fuck on a plane, get back home. Go shit in those holes in the desert. That's where you came from. That's your culture. That's your mentality. That's all you bring to us. And then there's that threat of your religion. Why should we live under a threat? Because you believe that you have the right to rule the fucking planet. In one of our war games, it's Islam that's driving this, folks. They're one of the biggest. Well, that's right, everybody, because that's Satan. Well, I can hear that in the audience right now, right? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But we don't have to live under this threat. And we, the American people, need to start standing up and telling our politicians, local first. Local first. That if you don't start doing your jobs, me and the citizens, and by the way, when you do this, don't just do it by yourself. You'll look like a crazy person. Take 30, 40 people with you. Cram into their office. Show them force. That scares them. That scares the shit out of the politicians. Do you know who the politicians are most afraid of? Bullies. The majority of politicians are in that 80% that will do whatever the fuck they're told. The vast majority of them. So when you show up with 30, 40, 50 people and you start saying, listen, we're not doing this. And we're here, airing our grievances. And do not think that you're going to use our constitutional rights against us to say that we're here causing a problem. We have the authority by the Constitution here. And if the sheriff comes in and starts causing you a problem, let us know. We'll go show up where they are. That's what we want to do. We want to start showing where the corruption is. And folks, it starts at home. The most corrupt communities are just around you, not in D.C. The same shit that's going on in D.C. is going on in your community, but a much larger scale. I know you don't believe that. The reason I say larger scale is because it's happening everywhere. That's just one city. I'll leave you with this. There was a sheriff in Oklahoma a couple of years ago that got busted on a hidden wire. A reporter left his recorder in the room where the sheriff and a bunch of other county members were, or county officials, employees were, and came back a few minutes later to get it. And when he played it back, they were planning his murder. Remember that out in Oklahoma? If you don't, look it up. Folks, if that can happen in Oklahoma and a sheriff thinks that it's all right to discuss how he's going to kill a reporter that he doesn't like among other county employees, and nobody says or does anything about it until the reporter comes forward with the story, that's what they do in that county. Not DC, folks. It's home. It starts at home. Thanks for joining us. If you've got more questions, join us over at the CramerSezProject.com. We'll be back when we're back. See you then.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The Kramer Says Project goes live.